Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Pokémon starts with binding the dragon god system. Chapter 21. The five of them were very nervous at that time. They were very afraid of Lin Qing. I heard that the last wave of younger brothers found a few ugly ones, and they were beaten by Lin Qing before and had their legs broken. Now there is one who is on crutches. Zhang Hu was scared on the spot when he saw Lin Qing was angry. He directly hit the forehead of the man named Wang Chuang next to him with a flaming fist, and then cursed with a righteous face, "Ni ma. I told you not to. You insisted on tying up teacher Ai Lu. You are sick." Wang Chuang next to him was confused and didn't dare to speak, as if he had eaten a pile of aolije. He just covered his forehead and kept mumbling, and no one knew who he was scolding. At this time, teacher Ai Lu had been watching these lazy students for a long time. She walked over impatiently and asked in confusion, "What's wrong, students? Why don't you run?" Then she saw the unicorn worms and green caterpillars that were desperately moving forward. She squatted down helplessly and said, "Whose green caterpillar is this?" After Zhang Hu looked at it, he didn't know what she wanted to do, so he walked over subconsciously. Classmates, the special training of physical fitness is not to run with the elf's feet. Maybe I just didn't make it clear. If this is inconvenient to move on the land, you can use their skills to move. Teacher Ai Lu taught how the green caterpillar moved quickly, and said softly, a breeze blowing. Teacher Ai Lu's high ponytail fluttered in the wind, and his body exuded a burst of body fragrance. He hit Wang Chuang as a spring breeze on Wang Chuang, who was still scolding. The type of good wife and good mother. While Wang Chuang was dreaming, Zhang Hu punched him again, and then cursed, "Run quickly. You are the only one who is dawdling, the big brother will leave soon. After running, follow me to find the big brother. It's quite miserable. If it weren't for the hope of making some money by following Lin Qing, who would suffer this?" Now there are only Lin Qing and teacher Ai Lu. When teacher Ai Lu saw that the elf that just ran back was actually the shining quasi-god round land shark, she was shocked and looked at it again and again. "Student Lin Qing, your round land shark is very well trained. Even I am ashamed of myself. Your potential is immeasurable, you must protect it. Don't let it be robbed or stolen by others, keep a low profile." Teacher Ai Lu touched the head of the round land shark with some concern and said. Lin Qing nodded slightly. This teacher is quite responsible. Every student will pay attention to it. She will squat down to explain to students like Zhang Hu. It can be said that she is much better than the two in the morning. She is a clean stream in the education field and treats everyone equally. Teacher, what kind of physical training will be next? I want to try it first. They will probably take a while. Lin Qing said lightly, and then looked at Sharona who had already run 2 laps, with a comfortable face. Triathlon, strength test, everyone can get familiar with it on the first day. Some students can't complete it. Don't force it, and don't be too showy. Did you hear it? Take care of other students from poor families. If you want special training, bring this round land shark here in the evening. Teacher Ai Lu said with a righteous face, which made Lin Qing a little embarrassed. Teacher Ai Lu had already determined that Lin Qing was a rich second generation who loved to show off. This elf should be bought for him by his family, and most of his classmates' elves must not be better than his. Okay, teacher, you're right. I'll take the round land shark to the horizontal bar to train coordination. After about 30 minutes, all the students behind ran back. They were exhausted. Several unicorns ran too much and curled up into a ball. They looked like they were going to die. There was also a horned goldfish next to it. It had rolled its eyes. I don't know how it finished running, but I admire it. This horned goldfish will become a great thing in the future. Okay, classmates, you've worked hard. Put away the elves. We can finish one more thing today and then we can leave. Each group of 3 will form their own team. In the future, physical training courses and outdoor courses will be with your teammates. Remember not to abandon your teammates. This is very important. After teacher Ai Lu's speech, the students below began to look for their teammates. Lin Qing didn't even look back, and walked directly to his fiancée Sharona, looking like he had rabies, grinning. Who dared to come and grab the points? Zhang Pan him. Zhang Hu wanted to team up with Lin Qing. The closer you are to the water, the better. When Zhang Hu ran over, he hadn't said anything yet. Lin Qing just said one word, "Get lost." Jong-Hu immediately said with a flattering face, okay. But at this moment, a somewhat unfriendly figure came over. It was Mary, who had a grudge with Lin Qing before. She looked at Lin Qing with contempt, and it was obvious that she wanted to fight. Haha, Sister Nana is mine. You want to team up with her? Ask me if I agree first. Mary looked at her with contempt and threw Malubiko forward on the spot. You bad girl want to play solo with me? Lin Qing was also stunned. He was not afraid. Now Xiaoxia has become stronger. Just when they were about to fight, Teacher Alu whistled, "Stand still, students. I see you have formed teams. Let me see." 5 minutes later, Lin Qing, Sharona, and Mary formed a team, and Sharona became the captain. Mary was not at all nice to Lin Qing at the back, and kept cursing in a low voice. Scum, dog garbage, beast, beast, the bee fastard with Kentaro shit and little fire horse urine in his head. Sooner or later, you will have to leave Sharona, the elf betrayed the master. Whatever nasty curses, Mary herself doesn't like to lose her temper, unless she really can't stand it. She has always been aloof, but now it seems like her mouth has been opened, and she doesn't stop cursing Lin Qing. Okay, students, I'm Teacher Alu. I'll be the one leading the outdoor and field courses this semester. If you need help, come to my office anytime. Get out of class dismissed. After the students dispersed, Mary was still scolding Lin Qing. As a man, Lin Qing would definitely not argue with her in front of his wife, Sharona, but they would definitely have to fight. Come out, little shark. If you lose today, you're not allowed to watch TV tonight. If you win, you'll have a family bucket of hamburgers and Coke. Shark, bye. The round land shark raised one hand high, and the fighting spirit was high. If you tell it to watch more TV, it will work better than anything else. Mary's Morabek was also released, and the battle was about to start. The evening breeze was slightly cool, blowing on the lawn of the playground, bringing ripples. The round land shark half bent its body and was ready to go, without blinking, while the opponent's Morabek was also on all fours. Before the battle, it took the seeds in its pocket and put them into its mouth to eat. I don't know what they are. As soon as I heard that someone wanted to make an appointment for a fight, the playground was already full of people after school, and the number of people was still increasing. Hurry up. Someone is arguing for a fight on the playground. I heard it's a quasi-god. It seems to be because of relationship problems. It seems that the man is dating someone else, and the woman came to find him. No way, it's obviously the woman who ran away with someone else. A group of spectators started to talk nonsense in the back, and I don't know which one is true. Sometimes school is such a strange place, and you can turn your mortal enemies into childhood sweethearts. Then let's go first. Morub can use electric shock. Teach that stupid shark a lesson. Mary looked confident. She had wanted to teach this man a lesson for a long time. If she encountered such an opportunity, she would definitely not let it go. Lin Qing didn't know how to command, so he asked Zhang Hu next to him for a cigarette. Just as he put it in his mouth and wanted to light it, he saw Teacher Alu coming over there. At that time, he threw the cigarette into Wang Chuang's pocket. Seeing Morub's attack, the round land shark jumped sideways and started to run to the right on all fours. Morubiko can use a ram. The corner of the round land shark's mouth slightly raised, and then when Morubiko rushed over, he threw sand directly, hitting the eyes of the rushing Morubiko, and Morubiko couldn't see clearly on the spot. Then the little shark continued to ram into the face, and Morubiko plunged into the flower bed next to him like an arc, and his head hit the rockery, and he fainted directly. Mary ran over with a panicked look on her face, looking at Morubiko with a big bump on his head. She was very unwilling in her heart, she actually lost. This fool round land shark is only amateur level. How could she lose at ordinary level? I took it lightly. Mary was full of resentment. She felt that today's failure was because she underestimated the opponent. If she did it again, she would definitely win. And Sharona became a little puzzled. This little shark was not commanded just now. First, he exposed a flaw by moving to let the opponent attack, then used a distraction skill to confuse the opponent's sight, and then hit him in the face, so smoothly. What kind of evil elf is this? How many days has it been born? It already has such a fighting talent. Maybe it will take a while for her Eevee to defeat it. Hee hee, I won. Just now, we agreed. Sharona is the captain. I am the vice captain. You are the errand boy. Lin Qing said proudly. Mary turned around and left with an indignant look, and Sharona hurriedly chased after him. They had agreed to go shopping in the evening. And in the crowd of this school, there were a few people who looked at such a brave quasi-god round land shark, and they all showed a hint of evil smile. After Lin Qing and the others left, the 3 junior students at the school gate looked at Lin Qing's back with a playful look. Brother Chang, that quasi-god is said to be worth several hundred million. Let's get him tonight. We can sell it on the black market without anyone noticing. Li Jian, I heard that this man is the second young master of the Lin family. Isn't it a bit risky? We can put stockings on our heads, find an intersection and use your mouth flower to secretly release the sleeping powder. Then we can run away. Who will know it's us? Put stockings on your head. You all wait, I'll go to the underwear store over there to buy 3 pairs of high-quality black stockings, and then each of us will wear 2 layers. The man said and ran to the opposite side. The salesperson looked at Li Jian, who was excited, and then looked at the stockings in his hand. He cursed him in his heart and paid for him. Lin Qing, who had just left the school gate, looked at Sharona who had gone far away, wondering whether to follow her, but Sharona had just forbidden him to follow, saying that she was trying to coax Mary. It seems that her brother's company has had some problems recently and is going to lay off employees. I wonder if her brother will lose his job. Lin Qing did not chase after him. He thought that he would take advantage of his free time tonight to fix the bug of the Universal Store and make a few 100 billion yuan, and then buy some undeveloped land in Qingliu City. Become bigger and stronger. Create more glory. Thinking about it, he planned to go home and put the little shark at home, because it won the game today and he promised it to watch TV for a night. Although it was not too late, the sun seemed a little sleepy today, and went down the mountain early at 6 p.m. Lin Qing was walking on the path back to Shushang Yayuan, which was only a few minutes away, but what he didn't know was that he had been spotted. 3 men with 2 layers of Balenciaga black stockings on their heads were squatting in the flower bed in front of Lin Qing, and there was an amateur-level idiot next to them, ready to release the sleeping powder when the man came over. But what the 3 didn't know was, Lin Qing was not a normal person. He was possessed by the dragon god body, and his physical strength was comparable to that of an elf. When a wisp of sleeping powder floated over, Lin Qing smelled the somewhat sweet smell, and it took less than 2 seconds for him to react. He turned around and hit the truck next to him, and woke up instantly. The 3 men with black stockings were all shocked. The truck compartment was directly dented by the man. Wow, human-shaped beast, barbaric collision. Li Jian said with a nervous face, not knowing that Lin Qing had already walked over with an angry face. A minute later, the heads of the 3 men were chopped open, and they were lying there with bruises and swollen faces. Lin Qing held 6 pairs of stockings and asked in a threatening manner, "Tell me. Why did you attack me?" That Li Jian was also a traitor who wanted fame. He came up and screamed, "It's all Brother Chang. He took a fancy to your quasi-god. He asked us to attack you and snatch it. No matter what I said, he wouldn't listen. I am innocent." Brother Chang, who was standing next to him, saw that this dog bai had sold him out, and he also used a trick of, "You were unkind and I am unjust, brother. I swear to God that it was this dog bai's idea. He also wanted to sell your round land shark on the black market. These stockings were all bought by him. If you don't believe me, go to the store over there and ask. I'm a dog if I lied to you." Lin Qing was annoyed, and he blew down the 3 people with a move of dragon's fury, and then he went into the community cursing. He thought to himself that it seemed that what teacher Ailu said today made sense. There must be someone who would still be thinking about this flashing quasi-god, and he had to think of a way. Luckily, there were 3 of them this time. If someone stronger came to rob him, he would be crippled if not dead. Lin Qing returned to his residence and felt more and more scared. Fortunately, these 3 stupid thieves reminded him. If he really met a stronger trainer, he would be killed and he would not be able to find where he died. It seems that I have to pretend to be a vegetable for a while before I have absolute strength. Lin Qing looked at the round land shark who had turned on the TV next to him and began to think. Almost 10 minutes later, Lin Qing called the little shark over and told it not to open the door no matter who called it, because someone wanted to catch it and sell it for money. Draw the curtains during special training. Then Lin Qing planned to go out to make money. He had to speed up the progress these days. The little shark had begun to become stronger, and he wanted to make more money. Just after he closed and locked the door, two girls suddenly pressed him against the door. They were the sisters Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan who lived next door. Hee, I caught you, didn't I? I saw that Sirona going out shopping upstairs. Come here to us. The two girls said as they tried to pull Lin Qing to their room. Lin Qing was confused. If Sirona saw him, he would be dead soon. Lin Qing struggled desperately to run, but at this moment Su Qinyan behind him started to scream as if she was molested. Lin Qing was confused. What was she trying to do? You run again. If you run again, I'll tell everyone in the building that you raped us. Lin Qing swallowed subconsciously. These two women were serious. 5 minutes later, Lin Qing sat on the bed in the next room watching TV, thinking about the goodness of Sirona. Hey, you said you would let me go after I stayed with you for a while. I've been with you for 5 minutes. Can you let me go? Lin Qing impatiently changed the channel, and his legs kept shaking unconsciously. Hey, don't be impatient, wait a minute, dear. Su Qinyan shouted happily. 5 minutes later, the two sisters changed into sexy maid outfits and walked in, scaring Lin Qing. What are you doing? I'm a good person. Lin Qing was numb on the spot. 2 days ago, she kept saying that she would call the police to arrest him, but now she changed into a maid outfit to play landlord with him. Just then, he seemed to hear the door of their room next door open again. Then he heard the voices of Sirona and Mary. My wife Sirona is back. So soon. Did she forget to take something? If she is caught, even if Blastoise uses water cannons on me, it will not be cleared. Lin Qing quickly made a gesture to silence him. Shish. Su Qinyan looked at Lin Qing with a smirk on her face, then sat next to Lin Qing and whispered, if you dare to resist, I will scream. If you don't believe me, try it. Lin Qing swallowed nervously. He didn't know whether the two sisters were going to play a royal bomb or 4 twos. Anyway, he only had a red heart 3 in his hand. He couldn't afford anything the other party played. Just when Lin Qing closed his eyes and thought about how to run, Su Qinyan suddenly put her hand into Lin Qing's pants pocket with a puzzled look on her face. Lin Qing was directly scared out of his wits. This woman. Oh my god, sister. His pocket is full of black silk. And it's from Balenciaga. It turns out that he likes this. Su Qinyan said excitedly, and then gave her sister 2 pairs. Lin Qing was stunned on the spot. This was the thing he had just taken from the 3 fools who wanted to rob him. He didn't think much at the time and put it in his pocket. Now the old lady is really talking too much. It's getting more and more confusing. Sister, look, am I beautiful? Su Qinyan had already put on the black stockings that she had taken from Lin Qing. She was already charming and cute, and now she had added a touch of sexiness. Lin Qing subconsciously looked at Su Tianyan next to him, and suddenly felt a fever in his head. Calm down, calm down. I love Sirona. At this time, the two girls threw Lin Qing on the bed and kissed her. Okay. I give in. You guys tell me. What do you want? Lin Qing, with a large lipstick mark on her face, said speechlessly. We want to be your wife. No, my wife is Sirona. If not, we will tell her that you raped us. Don't force me. I'll force you. What's the matter? Su Qinyan said with a smug look on her face. Her sister Su Tianyan walked over slowly, holding Lin Qing's hand tenderly and said, Ah Qing, since that day, whenever I get close to you, my heart dances happily like a bow tied on a crystal shoe, as if a deer is running around and about to crash out of my chest. Can you accompany us tonight? Lin Qing kept panting, not daring to look up at the other party. The sweet words seemed to melt his brains. Looking at the woman in front of him, he could hardly stand the 2 hot twin sisters wearing sexy clothes. My fiancée is Sirona. Unless she is willing to marry me with you, I don't care. Whatever you want, Lin Qing said and stood up, wanting to open the door and leave. He still had to make money at night. But the moment Su Qinyan saw Lin Qing stand up, she immediately blocked the door and said with dissatisfaction, You are ours tonight. We fell asleep that night and have no memory of anything. You are not allowed to go anywhere today. I want to go with you. While Su Qinyan was still talking, Su Tianyan looked towards the balcony with some horror. and saw that the man had stepped on it with one foot, and then suddenly jumped off the balcony. Ah Ching, don't jump. Let's go make friends with Sharona. Don't. But Lin Ching had already jumped down from the 4th floor. The two sisters looked dazed. Su Tianyan ran to the balcony in a panic and looked down, but there was no trace of Lin Ching. Quick, sister, go down to find him, I can't see him. This lunatic, is he going to die? Call 120. Sister. Su Tianyan went out in a panic without even wearing shoes, while Su Qinyan sat on the ground with a wrong look on her face. She could never have imagined that the other party actually jumped off the building because he didn't want his fiancée to misunderstand. Am I bad? Compared with Sharona, Su Qinyan cried with a wrong look on her face, then covered her mouth with her mobile phone, called 120, and ran out, following her sister. The two searched for a long time but couldn't find Lin Ching. Little did he know that after Lin Ching, who had the dragon god body, jumped down from the 4th floor, he directly hit the ground with a dragon's fury buffer and landed without any trouble. Now he has taken a taxi to the city center. Tonight he will use the recycling function of the system to make at least 10 billion. Otherwise, such an awesome system will be wasted. Master, let's go to the Qingliu City Alliance Mall. Just 10 minutes after Lin Ching left, an ambulance drove to their building. The medical staff searched for the person who jumped off the building as they said. The person in charge of the hospital severely criticized the Su Tianyan sisters. If they were not students, they would probably be fined a lot of money. The two sisters kept crying. They didn't know how Lin Ching was doing. They might never dare to make such jokes again. And Sharona, who came back to get the bank card, was also curious. Why didn't the two sisters next door close the door today? When they met in the corridor, they were still crying. And he bowed to Sharona for the first time, which made people confused for a while. Lin Ching, who had already arrived at the Alliance Mall in the city center, naturally planned to make another fortune. He bought a hat and put on a mask and walked in. In one night, he swept away almost all the high-priced items such as elf evolution stones, advanced skill learning discs, and top-quality carrying props. The person in charge of the mall could not find out who this tycoon was, no matter how hard they investigated. They only saw that he went back and forth a few times and spent hundreds of billions. Later, they concluded that this tycoon was the son of a big family in the capital, or the son of a high-ranking official. Later, Lin Ching went to the mall next door. With more capital, he made more money. By 3 o'clock in the morning, he had earned 10 billion. Lin Ching also smiled with satisfaction. He knew that there might be a shortage or out of stock here for a long time. And prices will definitely rise. You know, if the non-renewable resources such as elf evolution stones are sold out, the price will definitely rise. This time there is a shortage of so many, and their upstream supply chain will also be broken. And Lin Ching plans to open another trading company. Buy the most prosperous land. He has a universal store. In the market price that will rise later. As long as he sells a little higher, there will be people buying. Because he is the only one who has the out-of-stock items. Then there will be an auction of top-quality items. Buy out the top-quality items in the universal store and auction them. You will definitely make a fortune. Thinking of this, Lin Ching went directly to the mall opposite the Alliance Mall. At first, he was driven out by the security guard, but later when he learned that the other party really wanted to buy it, he was like seeing a ghost in the middle of the night. He bought the large shopping mall opposite with 1 billion Alliance coins. The boss was shocked at the time. His place is now worth at most 800 million, but the other party is very generous. He signed the contract without talking about the price and then transferred the money. Looking at the SMS on his mobile phone, he still feels like he is dreaming. The mall that was originally facing bankruptcy was sold at a high price by him. At 7 o'clock in the morning, Lin Ching specially called every management in advance. At first, those people were all very unhappy. They didn't go to work until 8 o'clock, but they came at 7 o'clock, and it was a young boy. What? New boss? So young, and a student? A financial officer shouted in confusion, as if he had taken expired aphrodisiacs, and almost bit off his tongue. Today is indeed very sudden. My name is Lin Ching. Let's make money together in the future. Starting today, all management salaries will increase by 50%, and grassroots employees will increase by 25%. Let's get started. Starting today, we will mainly sell 3 things: evolution stones, skill learning machines, and elf props. I will arrange for someone to deliver them in the afternoon. Lin Qing easily motivated these people. When it comes to salary increases, they jump up immediately as if they had drunk fake wine. Lin Qing looked at the time and it was almost 8:30. He suddenly saw that there were 99 unread messages in his social account. At that time, he felt a lack of oxygen in his brain. After swallowing nervously, he opened the social software, all of which were sent by his fiancée, Sharona. 9 p.m. Are you not coming back yet? I brought you dinner on the table outside, remember to eat. 10 p.m. Xiaoxia is already asleep, are you not coming back yet? 11 p.m. Where are you? 12 p.m. Great. You tricked me into living with you. You don't come home all night. You can do it. Then there was a series of voice calls. Yesterday, Lin Qing quit all his social apps. He was so busy making money that he forgot about his wife at home. So Lin Qing, who had become a big boss, came to school with a nervous look on his face. It was already 9:30, and he was obviously late. When Lin Qing came to the class with an embarrassed look on his face, he came to the last row very carefully. Looking at Sharona, who was particularly beautiful today, he swallowed subconsciously. But the moment he sat down, Sharona took the chalk she had prepared in advance and drew a line directly in the middle of the desk. A 50-50 dividing line appeared in between the two of them. Mary in front turned around and whispered, "He must have crawled under a woman's skirt last night." Lin Qing was annoyed. It was obvious that he had a hard life and went out to perform, but now it seemed that he was fooling around with people at night. He didn't listen to what the teacher on the podium was saying. He wiped the dividing line drawn by Sharona with his sleeves twice. He picked up the chalk on the ground and drew a 9, one dividing line. He won Sharona 9. The whole table is yours. Sit closer. Don't sit so far away. My husband went to make money last night, he made 10 billion. Sharona rolled her eyes directly. This guy's mouth became more and more slick. He didn't tell the truth all day long. She didn't want to listen to his nonsense at all now, so she covered her face with a book. And just then the first class was over. As soon as the bell rang, the teacher left without stopping, as if he couldn't stand this class. Lin Qing blocked the aisle and prevented Sharona from leaving. "You let me out, I want to go to the toilet," Sharona said with some dissatisfaction, and she was blushing shyly. Many classmates in front were watching. "I'll take you when the class starts, there are too many people now, so we have to queue up." Lin Qing was going to start the return punch mode of Goran Wang. "No matter what you say, it's useless. He just won't let you go. What can you do?" But just when he was a little high-spirited, the boys in front suddenly became a little commotion and became noisy. "My God, goddess, the school beauties are here. Are you looking for me? You don't even look like cow dung, and you are pulling bubble gum there." Several boys were staring at the two girls at the door with excitement. Lin Qing secretly said that it was not good. "Excuse me, is Lin Qing in your class?" Zhang Hu behind was stunned when he heard this. Aren't these the two school beauties he tied up that day? Are they coming to settle accounts? So bold, aren't you afraid that he will kidnap them and send them to their big brother? Lin Qing was about to hide behind Sharona's skirt. He thought she was coming to confess again. He still remembered what Su Tianyan said yesterday. It was so sweet that it made his heart ache. Just then, the two girls seemed to see Lin Qing hiding inside, and then walked straight towards her amid the exclamations of a group of male classmates. Sharona frowned, not knowing what the other party meant. Yesterday, she bowed to her politely. "Ah Qing, were you okay yesterday? We went too far yesterday. Don't be angry. Let me see if you are injured," Su Tianyan said as he tried to walk over. They were stopped by Sharona, who looked at them with hostility and said, "He was at your place all night yesterday." "No, Sister Nana, don't blame him wrongly. He kept saying you yesterday, rejected me and my sister. Today we came to see if he was injured. He jumped from the 4th floor yesterday to avoid us." Sharona was shocked. Did they go downstairs to find Lin Qing last night? They also called the ambulance. "What did you do last night?" Sharona turned her head and looked at Lin Qing, asking with a puzzled look. "I went to make money yesterday. How much did you make? Ah, 10,000 alliance coins. Lin Qing was so honest before, but now he has learned to lie, and Sirona actually believed it. Su Tianyan came over after hearing this. Is it because you gave it all to us that you have no money? Take it, we don't need that much. Then she looked at Sirona again. She bowed politely, and Lin Qing was also surprised by her courage and means. Su Tianyan said sincerely, Sister Nana, you will be our sister from now on. I will help you with whatever you ask for. I am sorry for offending you before. Then Su Tianyan took Su Qinyan, who was still a little aggrieved, and left directly. Lin Qing was also stunned when he looked at the bank card in front of him. This was the one he had given to the two sisters before. Later, under Shirona's questioning, Lin Qing told everything that happened that day. Later, she took the bank card in her hand, looked at Lin Qing helplessly and said, they don't want money. That means they want people. Lin Qing was also a little confused. Why did these two girls get more excited the more they hid? That was 200 million. Shirona, I'm not a petty person. Since you got the girl's body first, if they are loyal and follow you in the future, I will let them enter our house. But I have a condition. Lin Qing asked subconsciously. What condition? Shirona looked at the playground outside the window with an indifferent face and said, I want you to be a man who can stand on your own and never ask for money from your family again. Return all the money to your mother. If you have no money and they still follow you, I won't say anything. Shirona said resolutely. This really stumped Lin Qing. He just made 10 billion yesterday. He could definitely be independent, and he could also do it without asking his family for money. But it was really hard to be without money. The thing my family had the most was money. Okay, I promise you. Come home with me today and explain it to my mother. As soon as Lin Qing agreed, he regretted it. He agreed too quickly. Shirona raised her eyebrows, raised the corners of her mouth slightly, and said with a playful look, Are you interested in those two sisters? You agreed so quickly. No, I just saw that class was about to start. Lin Qing was so nervous that he was about to get into a frying pan. At this critical moment, when he was discussing with his first wife about taking in a concubine, any wrong word would lead to a complete failure. Ding! As the bell rang, Lin Qing finally breathed a sigh of relief. As long as class started, he could secretly slip Shirona a small note to cheer her up while she was listening to the class. Zhang Hu next door was extremely shocked. What the hell was going on? Weren't the two sisters raped by Brother Lin that day? They should have called the police. They should have cried and made a scene, or even hanged themselves. Why did they come to discuss family status with Lin Qing's fiancé? Chaos. Really chaotic. Rich families are really chaotic. Wang Chuang next to him shouted with admiration, Brother, you are awesome. Lin Qing had a close call for the whole morning, but the round land shark that was training at home was on a road of no return today. Yesterday it watched TV all night and seemed to have seen some Naruto anime. Now it is practicing its special moves, and its mind is full of the characters and battle plots of yesterday's Naruto. Now it began to recall the dialogue in the movie, Water Escape. Big mouthful of spit, take it and kai. Quote. Tui, how many floors does a bag of rice have to carry? A bag of rice has to carry 2 floors. Quote. Secret. Earth-shattering star. The moves of each character were replayed crazily in Xiaoxia's mind, just like an unlucky child who fell off a cliff and accidentally saw the martial arts secrets carved under the cliff. It was unknown how long it had been. Xiaoxia opened his eyes calmly, looked at the wooden target in the distance and shouted directly, Shark, shark. In an instant, sand began to condense around the iron lump crazily, and then suddenly wrapped the wooden target in it. Then Xiaoxia suddenly waved his hand, and the sand on the sandball began to violently burst out. After a while, the wooden target was unrecognizable, as if it had been washed by countless stones and sand, and the skin was completely broken. If Lin Qing was here, he would definitely see that this was Xiaoxia's skill, quicksand hell. Now that Xiaoxia has learned Gaara's sandstorm funeral, and used it, it is simply impossible to explain with common sense. After looking at its results with a slight pout, Little Shark began to try other skills. Who knows what level a spirit with extraordinary growth attributes and explosive comprehension ability will reach at home. After class that afternoon, Lin Qing also made an appointment with Shirona to meet his mother, Huoxia. Lin Qing has not seen her since school started. To be honest, he is still very grateful to this woman. Although she is not his mother in a strict sense, she is really good to him. He didn't know that the second floor of his house had been filled with sand by Little Shark. He was eating dragon fruit and watching the latest TV series, The Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber. There was a video of Zhang Wuji releasing the Great Shift of the Universe in it, and he didn't know what effect it would have on Little Shark. And Lin Qing just took out his mobile phone and called his mother Huosha. Mom, are you free tonight? Nana and I want to treat you to dinner. Huosha on the other end of the phone naturally agreed happily. 9 o'clock tonight, Mom will send you the location later. Huosha frowned after hanging up the phone, as if she had something on her mind. She looked at the housekeeper next to her, called him over and said, "This matter. You must not let him know. Burn everything for me, at least wait until he graduates and gets married." The housekeeper looked worried. "Second madam." But the masters sighed. "I heard that the first lady is already investigating you. This Lin Qing. If they know that he is not the master's descendant, we will all die in Qingliu City. Do you want us to find an opportunity? I will deal with the master. You go and do it." After the housekeeper left, Huosha sighed helplessly, her eyes full of loneliness and vicissitudes. Looking at Lin Qing's photo, there was a trace of tears in the corner of her eyes. Then she looked at the time, took a deep breath, and took her phone to arrange the hotel. This was the first time her son and future daughter-in-law invited her out for dinner, so she naturally had to go, and she had to go with great fanfare. But what she didn't know was, what Lin Qing and the others were going to talk about tonight was not something glorious. Qingliu International Banquet Hotel, the largest, most luxurious and high-end hotel in Qingliu City. All the people who came here were powerful nobles and nobles. Lin Qing at the door was wearing a very ordinary set of clothes, and Sharona, who was wearing a black dress next to her, was like a young lady from a wealthy family, gentle and dignified, with a hint of elegance in her every move. A breeze blew, and Sharona gently lifted her long hair by her ears, and then hugged Lin Qing, who was a little thin in front of her. Lin Qing said gently, "I'm not cold. I'm in good health. The dragon god body with the bonus of the little fire dragon's physique is naturally more resistant to cold than ordinary people." From a distance, the two of them really looked like a newly married couple, so sweet. Just as the two were talking, a black, shiny, luxury car slowly drove over. As soon as they got out of the car, several men and one woman were busy with something in a panic. There were two majestic wind speed dogs next to them. They looked elite, maybe even higher. "Madam, the young master and the young lady have arrived. Please come this way." Following the signal of a male bodyguard, a graceful woman walked out of the luxury car. A pigeon egg necklace on her chest emitted a dazzling light under the street lamp on the roadside, dazzling and colorful. "Mom, you are here," Lin Qing said excitedly, then walked forward and came to his mother who had not seen her for many days. "Why are you standing outside? Didn't I book a room?" Huosha looked kind, which made Sharona feel a little relieved. This is her future mother-in-law, a very resourceful and kind person. "I want to take a breath outside." As soon as he entered the lobby of this hotel, Lin Qing had an idea at that time, how many billions can he afford? The floor was shiny and bright. The crystal walls were so clean that they could be used as mirrors. The beams looked like they were inlaid with gold. What is splendid and magnificent? This is it. Luxury, extremely luxurious. Then the three of them followed the guidance of the two receptionists to the elevator of the banquet hotel. A close observation also allowed Huosha to see her son, who was a little different. Don't you wear earrings anymore? Did you cut your hair?" Then Huosha stretched her neck and sniffed Lin Qing's body. "You don't smoke much anymore. What's the matter?" If she is a mother, her observation is naturally sharp. Lin Qing was not panicked. He said calmly, "I am considering that I am in school now. I can't lose face for our Lin family. Mother, when can I go home to live?" Lin Qing asked casually, and Huosha was obviously stunned. Now that Lin Qing has been discharged from the hospital, everyone in the family knows about it, but they also know Lin Qing's character. If anyone dares to let him stay at home, he will pry open the other party's vault in minutes. He only goes home a few times a year. He either wants money or his life. He will kill anyone who doesn't give him money. Especially his father, as long as he doesn't give Lin Qing money, he will turn his company upside down in a minute. Because of the past Lin Qing, when the stock price of the Lin family company fell to the point of jumping off a building, the Lin family called the second master the living devil, which was Lin Qing himself. That's why no one dared to look for Lin Qing after he was discharged from the hospital. His father wanted to look for him, but Huo Sha told his father that Lin Qing didn't want to go home now and asked them not to provoke him. He had just been discharged from the mental hospital, so his father didn't say much and could only sigh. The family has been very busy recently, so you still have to stay outside. I think it's good for you to be with Nana, right? You are not so free at home. You have lost your memory now, so there will be a lot of troublesome. By the way, has anyone contacted you recently? Huosha asked with a puzzled look. Lin Qing also shook his head secretly. What he said was true. How could living at home be as comfortable as living with Sharona? No one at home contacted me. I'm here, mother, sit inside. Huosha sighed helplessly as she looked at Lin Qing, who had become a little different. Is this fate? Why did he become more and more like that man after losing his memory? Isn't this going to kill me? After all, he is my own son. You let me. Lin Qing was very enthusiastic and filial to Huosha all night, and he also picked up food for Sharona and his mother. This made the two girls look like they had seen a ghost, and they all expressed their incomprehension. Tell me, what happened today? What do you want to talk to me about? Recently, the family's finances are tight. I only have 200 million alliance coins in my hand, and the rest are with your father. Huo Sha thought Lin Qing came to ask her for money tonight, so she expressed her attitude directly. She knew her son too well. Lin Qing said calmly, Mom, it's like this. I accidentally ruined the girl. She wants to live with me. Nana said that unless I stop asking you for money, and those two girls don't regret it even though they know I have no money, Nana will agree to let them follow me. Quote. Hearing this, Huosha's right eyelid twitched subconsciously. Not asking her for money. Is this a statement to Sharona? Does Lin Qing need to make a statement to others when doing things? How many girls had been abused before, and it was Huosha, as a mother, who settled it for him. She has some power in the underworld and the white world, but today her son said this to her, which always made her feel weird. At this time, Sharona also stood up and said respectfully, Mom, can you stop giving him money? Huosha was stunned when she heard this. She was a smart person. Naturally, she understood what Sharona meant. She wanted to let Lin Qing be self-reliant through this matter, and those two women might get tired of playing with Lin Qing and throw them away later. Maybe they saw that Lin Qing had no money and ran away. Huosha laughed at the time. This daughter-in-law looks like her. But what they could never dream of was that Lin Qing's assets were almost exceeding his father's assets. Then Huosha also expressed her attitude. As long as Sharona and Lin Qing got the marriage certificate, she would not give Lin Qing money anymore. Sharona was stunned at that time. No, didn't she come to ask Lin Qing to express his attitude today? Why did his mother bring up the marriage certificate? Didn't he graduate and get it 3 years later? Nana, you see, our Qing is not young anymore. It's time for him to be independent. I am also old as a mother. But I am still very confident in you. I have liked you very much since childhood. Don't worry, I will not give him money anymore, but I will give it to you. If you get the marriage certificate first, he will feel at ease, and other women will be afraid. Isn't it? Anyway, you will get it sooner or later. Faced with a flurry of sugar-coated bullets from her mother-in-law, Sharona didn't know what to say. She took a dessert and ate it with her eyes wide open. Getting a marriage certificate without a wedding, how can this be? While Sharona was still in a daze, Huosha next to her glanced at Lin Qing, who was still in a daze, meaning that you are pretending to be dead without saying a few words. Lin Qing was also an experienced person, so she stood up on the spot. Don't worry. Mom, I will definitely treat Nana well. From today on, if I ask you for another penny, I will change my name to Xiluoking. I will take Nana's last name. We will go to get the marriage certificate tomorrow. No, Before Zyrna could react, the mother and daughter sang the same tune and arranged everything for her. Then Huosha directly issued an imperial decree. Tomorrow morning at 9:09, she just asked someone to calculate the time, and tomorrow's date is still very suitable for their horoscopes. Then Huosha called Zyrna's father on the spot and directly transferred 100 million to him, saying that it was for tea money, and the betrothal money was definitely more than this amount. It was quite sudden. Zyrna now felt that there were two Pikachus fighting in her head. Didn't she come to ask Lin Qing to express his opinion today? Why did they get the marriage certificate tomorrow? The problem is that her own parents also agreed. Huosha looked at the two of them with a look of relief. As long as they get the marriage certificate, my son will be the other party's son-in-law. Even if he is found not to be of the Lin family, it will be too late. Just find an opportunity for her to give birth to the child. In this way, she can rest assured. There are only 3 people in the family at the table. The 3 of them have their own ulterior motives. Let alone being of one mind, they are thankful that they can eat together now. It was the author who forced them to come here. Sharona thought about asking Lin Qing to express her self-reliance and be honest and dutiful after being independent. Lin Qing thought about how to reasonably let the sisters enter the house without making his wife Sharona angry. Huosha was thinking about how to let her son get the certificate and have children with the eldest daughter of the rich family as soon as possible. Well, it can be regarded as a family moving towards a goal, and they are of one mind. Half an hour later, the family left the hotel in harmony. Huosha sent them to the school gate and left there, and specifically told them to take a day off tomorrow. After getting the certificate, I will take Sharona to take 2 wedding photos and put them at home for good luck. We will graduate and get married 3 years later. Standing at the school gate, the two looked at each other. Sharona spoke first, and asked in disbelief as if she hadn't reacted yet, we are not old enough to get a marriage certificate. Lin Qing also said subconsciously, I think as long as my mother is in Qingliu City, we can get the death certificate tomorrow, there is nothing she can't do. My mind is a little confused. I want to go out for a walk. Don't follow me, Sharona said and was about to go to the street alone. Lin Qing saw that she was about to call that silly lowly Mary. How could that be? At that time, he rushed over directly. If anyone contacted his wife tonight, he would let Zhonghu and the other 5 go to his house for tea. What are you doing? I'm a little annoyed. Give me back my phone. Sharona was annoyed. She felt that her parents agreed without discussing it with her. Although it was a matter of time, it was too much. Lin Qing was like a child playing with mud. If there was no water, he would just add some boy's urine to make it. You are not allowed to go anywhere today. Tonight I will buy you a ring and put it on your hand. The one who will tie you up. Lin Qing said with a playful look on his face, and his eyes looked at Sharona from time to time. Sharona tilted her head directly and didn't want to pay attention to him. I won't go. My mind is a little confused. Let me think about it. There is also a Pikachu selling ice cream next to that jewelry store. Ice cream made by Pikachu. Lin Qing continued to seduce, and he had heard the sound of Sharona swallowing her saliva. Sharona didn't say anything, just puffed her lips. Lin Qing patted her head with a smug look on his face. Seeing that the situation was settled, he turned to look at the doodly car next to him. Hello, doodly car, return 1,000 alliance coins. Time 2 hours, no distance limit. Would you like to sit down, please? Yes, sit down. One of us. Lin Qing helped Sharona sit down with a sly smile, then he sat down from behind and slowly pulled the reins in front from behind. Sharona's back was pressed tightly against his chest, and the fragrance of the girl seemed like the fragrance of spring flowers, which made the flowers in his brain bloom. Sit tight, baby, hurry. Lin Qing shook the reins of Doodly violently, and Doodly rushed out directly. The 3 bird heads looked forward seriously. Sharona, who was sitting in Lin Qing's arms, had a flushed face. The evening breeze blowing in her face was a bit fierce, and her hair was blown everywhere. Some of it hit Lin Qing's face directly, but the other party didn't care at all. Suddenly, there was a stone in front, and Doodly jumped. The 2 of them hugged each other in a bumpy manner. Both sides felt the hot temperature of each other, and they fit together seamlessly. You hooligan. Sharona blushed in panic, and used her arm to push Lin Qing behind him to let him sit farther away. There was another bump, and she suddenly understood why this bad man chose to sit on Doodly. Special car, he wanted to take advantage of it. still outside. But the other party didn't care at all. The confident and sunny look made Sirona feel confused again, and her heart seemed to melt in soda water. Is she going to buy a wedding ring now? Man, Sirona has melted under the sweet corrosion of love, and her face is also smeared with a trace of pink and rosy love color, and the deer in her heart seems to be about to crash out. That night, Lin Qing bought her a very beautiful diamond ring, named Angel's Kiss, which was extremely dazzling from a distance. After paying the money, he put it on Sirona's left ring finger directly. The other party was furious. Are you sick? Sirona was annoyed and wanted to take it off on the spot. This man was as stupid as a carp. He only knew how to jump. He didn't need to be careful at all. Lin Qing also reacted suddenly, and immediately knelt on one knee. With a thump, the floor was cracked by his knee. The dragon god body was so terrifying that he proposed to her in anger. Lin Qing took the newly bought ring, knelt on one knee and said seriously, "Dear, marry me. I will let you eat delicious food every day. I will always protect you. Thank you for being considerate to me in the past for so many years. You have worked hard. I promise that I will never mess around outside behind your back again." Two single salesmen in their 30s in the jewelry store next to them looked at the two students with indignation. They actually learned to propose at such a young age. It was really a Pikachu with 100,000 volts. It was so annoying. Sirona looked at Lin Qing below and subconsciously stretched out her left hand. Thinking of something, she suddenly took her hand back a little shyly. Lin Qing directly pulled it over and put it on her ring finger again. "Hey, wait, I haven't said I do." Sirona looked at Lin Qing, who stood up suddenly with a confused face, and said with some stammering, "Let's go, my dear. If you have anything to say, go home and talk in bed." Lin Qing twisted his mouth and hugged the struggling Sirona in a princess hug and sat on the doodooly just now, and then ran away with a drive. The two single elderly female sales clerks behind looked at them with displeasure and said, "Tisk, it's really annoying. The young people nowadays, Tisk. I think you are just jealous. Sister, you haven't tasted a man for 5 years." The other party directly quarreled with her on the street at the same time, and her makeup was smudged. For a while, the popularity of the store soared. Those who didn't know thought that this store was doing activities to attract people. Lin Qing and Sirona, who returned to the school gate, had just returned the doodooly and were now walking slowly on the way home. Sirona was pouting all the way, kicking the pebbles on the roadside subconsciously, as if she wanted to kick away some troubles. Lin Qing was thinking about where to go to make money after getting the marriage certificate tomorrow. Then he would see how the special training results of Little Shark were. He didn't seem to pay much attention to it in the past 2 days. It should be fine, right? And Charmander has been kept in the breeding house for a few days. It should have recovered a little. Let's go see Charmander after getting the marriage certificate tomorrow. With this thought, the two returned to their residence. As soon as they arrived at the door, they found something wrong. My God, why is there so much sand at the door? Who is renovating it behind our backs? Sirona asked with a worried look on her face. When Lin Qing saw the sand, he panicked on the spot. He staggered to the door with a nervous look on his face. The moment he took out the key and opened the door, he was buried in a pile of sand. Husband. Sirona panicked and released Ibrahimovic directly, trying to drag Lin Qing out. Fortunately, Lin Qing was not buried deep. The two stood on the sand and looked at the room in confusion. Except for the TV, everything, including the sofa, bed, table, refrigerator, toilet, etc., was covered by sand. At this time, the TV suddenly lit up, and a round land shark that had just woken up came out of the sand next to it, sat on the sand pile and watched the program on TV. Lin Qing and Sirona looked at the program on TV with confusion. I saw two characters fighting madly. Sass. Where does it hurt? Give up, Naruto. I won't go back. I'm going to kill my brother Itachi, that cheater. Take my ultimate move, Reikiri Chidori. Don't trust Orochimaru. Take my wind-style Rasengan. Then the little round land shark sitting on the sand began to imitate Naruto's Rasengan. It slowly spit out Dragon's Fury at its hand, and then gathered into a round sphere. Shark. Then the little shark imitated Naruto's movements and began to attack. A move of Dragon's Fury Rasengan directly blew up the lamp on the roof. Lin Qing at the door was numb. This guy not only became a spirit, but also entered the devil's way. Next to him, Sharona was a genius round land shark who had discovered a new world and could develop and change the style of his special moves. She loved it so much. He rushed over directly, hugged the little shark who had escaped into the devil's way and rubbed it, liking it very much. Lin Qing also reacted. This guy can no longer be explained by science. If this kind of cultivation talent is taken outside, it will definitely be coveted by someone with ulterior motives, and then he will not be able to protect it. I have to think of a way to keep a low profile and go outside tomorrow. Buy a Magikarp as the main force in the open, and tell everyone that I am a noob. Just when Lin Qing was still thinking about where to buy a disabled elf tomorrow to pretend to be a noob and keep a low profile, two people suddenly came to the door. Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan looked at the sand in the aisle with confusion, and asked worriedly, "Ah Qing, Sister Nana, are you okay? What's going on?" Lin Qing said with embarrassment. It's okay, it's a bit windy and sandy today, and I forgot to close the window when I went out. We will find someone to clean it up later. The two of them didn't bring any letters at all. Is this a typhoon? It's 11 o'clock in the evening. Ah Qing, why don't you stay at our place tonight? I will sleep in the same bed with my sister. Su Qinyan said in a low voice. Lin Qing swallowed subconsciously, and then looked at Sharona next to him. Okay, then I'll bother you two sisters. Come on, little shark, I'll take you to the next room to sit down. You be quiet. Sharona went over with little shark who was still watching Shippuden. The first step for little shark to go to the room of Su Tianyan and her sister next door was to find the remote control, turn on the TV, sit on the sofa and watch Shippuden like a living person, and operate smoothly. The two sisters were stunned. Sharona also held the round land shark in her arms and whispered in its ear, "You are not allowed to use your tricks in other people's homes, others will be angry." Shark. As time slowly got later, Sharona also felt sleepy. She took a shower and returned to the room, and saw Lin Qing who had already washed. Sharona was embarrassed after looking at Lin Qing. Although she would get the marriage certificate tomorrow, she was not yet an adult in someone else's house. That kind of thing. Not allowed. Wait until she is an adult. So she went straight into Su Tianyan's room, intending to squeeze in with them. When Su Qinyan saw Sharona coming in, she said, "Sister Nana, if you don't go with him, I will go." The temperature in the room dropped by 2 degrees at that time. Later, she looked at the two sisters who were no less beautiful than hers, and she was annoyed. It was obvious that they were forcing her. If she didn't go, they might climb into Lin Qing's bed at midnight. Can she bear it? Can she do it? Can she sleep? 5 minutes later, she walked out of the room of Su Qinyan and her sister and returned to Lin Qing. Lin Qing also understood and gave up directly. His wife must have been tortured to the point of short-circuiting her brain today. If she wanted to do that, at least she had to wait until the certificate was obtained. What if she cried again at night and delayed the certificate? Calm down. It's not a big deal tonight, let's talk about it after the certificate is obtained. You sleep on the floor. Lock the door. Don't go out, Sharona said speechlessly. It was obvious that she would be someone else's sooner or later, but she was unwilling to accept it. She felt that if she was too cheap for him, he would definitely not care much about her. Men are like this. The easier it is to get something, the less you will cherish it. She wants to spend her whole life with him, so she can't indulge him. Lin Qing nodded, then lay down on the ground, wrapped herself up in something and fell asleep. Seeing Sharona fall asleep so quickly, she naturally couldn't fall asleep. Today, she promised him to be self-reliant, promised him about his two sisters, bought a wedding ring to propose, and notified her family to get the marriage certificate tomorrow. Tonight, she slept with Lin Qing again. Her mind was about to smoke. Almost an hour later, Sharona's heart was still as messy as a rattle. She didn't know if Lin Qing was asleep, she didn't know if the ground was cold, she didn't know if Lin Qing would treat her well in the future, and if he became like he was before he lost his memory. So Sharona asked in a low voice, "Are you asleep? Old man, husband?" Lin Qing also slowly turned around and said, "No. What are you thinking about?" "I'm thinking, I must have saved the earth in my previous life to marry you." Slippery tongue. Is the ground cold? No, I'm very excited. My whole body is hot. I'll get the certificate tomorrow. You're sick. Come up and sleep. If you dare to touch me, I won't get the certificate tomorrow. Okay. Just when Lin Qing suddenly stood up and jumped onto the bed, he didn't see clearly and stepped on Sharona's leg. Sharona covered her leg and started screaming on the spot. It's 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, and the sound is extremely shrill. It's hard not to have wild thoughts. Look, the sisters Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan next door immediately leaned on the wall and listened nervously after hearing Sharona's scream just now, as if they were afraid of missing something very important and exciting. But the two waited until 2 o'clock in the morning and heard no movement inside. Su Qinyan angrily cursed. You are not a man. You dare not touch your own wife. Boring. The two felt bored and finally went back to sleep. The next morning, Lin Qing woke up and saw Sharona, who had borrowed the cosmetics from Su Qinyan and her sister to put on makeup, and felt relieved. Because their house was full of sand and couldn't get in, Sharona borrowed a set of clothes from Su Qinyan and her sister. Otherwise, they could be school beauties, and there was no clothes that would not make men bleed. After Sharona found a JK short skirt and Valentino high heels and put them on, Lin Qing felt short of breath on the spot. It turned out that his wife liked to wear a black windbreaker to cover up her proud figure. Let's go, idiot, don't look. 9:09. We have to see the marriage certificate, it can only be early and not late. My mother-in-law said. So the two left with their fingers tightly held in the shock of Su Tianyan and her sister. The two sisters, one brushing shoes and the other blowing hair, looked confused. Su Qinyan asked in disbelief. They are going to get the marriage certificate today. Well, it should be. Su Tianyan was silent. Sister, whatever happens, calm down, we should have made a decision long ago. At 9 o'clock and 9 minutes this morning, the two got the marriage certificate on time. It seems that Huo Sha should have arranged it in advance. The two did not queue up and got it done directly. All of Sharona's worries and concerns disappeared when she got the marriage certificate, because she was already Lin Qing's legal wife. They had started a family and their real life began. After getting the marriage certificate, Lin Qing brought Sharona to the previous breeding house. He hadn't seen the little dragon for several days and didn't know how it was. Come on, dear, I'll take you to see Charmander. Lin Qing said as he brought Sharona to the store, and the owner of the breeding house recognized him the moment Lin Qing came over, because he had a deep impression of the owner who abused his Charmander. When it came to Lin Qing and Sharona, they hugged it happily. Lin Qing was relieved to see that it was in much better condition. Boy, this little Charmander is still in the stage of external injury recovery. It will take at least 25 days to regulate its internal injuries in its body and intestines. When it recovers, its qualifications should be able to reach the high-level ordinary level. If you are lucky, you can directly evolve to Charmeleon in full condition. This little Pokémon should have experienced many life and death battles in the wild in recent months. The accumulated combat experience may make you shine. Treat it well. Lin Qing looked at the elderly breeder next to him with gratitude and told him about the situation of the little Charmander. If it can recover, it will be a great comfort. Sharona was still there, feeding the little Charmander with a gentle look on her face, while Lin Qing secretly gave the breeder another 500,000 alliance coins, and said in a very low voice, Uncle Yang, thank you for your trouble, give it all the good things you have, if you don't have enough money, you can say. I'll give you this much first, no other meaning. The old breeder looked at Lin Qing like this, and scolded him unhappily. Boy, I advise you to be more sincere, be kinder to people and elves. Don't think that having a few dollars is great. The elves will follow you for a lifetime, and they see some things in their eyes, and they will regard you as something they will protect with their lives. You are not careful enough. You are not enough. Far from enough. Don't give me money. I don't care about this. In his eyes, this little Charmander was abused by him, and he looked at Lin Qing as if he was a rogue. Lin Qing swallowed awkwardly. He didn't expect the old man to say that to him. He took the money back awkwardly, and then said seriously, Uncle, I will treat every elf seriously. Please rest assured. Please tell me about the situation of Charmander again, please. The uncle glanced at Lin Qing, then looked at the girl behind him. After thinking for a while, he sighed slowly and said, Have you heard of the flame pearl? Go get it for me. It can use the power of fire to nourish its body. Chapter 31. Fire Orb. Lin Qing seemed to have never heard of it, including never seeing it on TV in the past. Well, it is a small stone born near the flame orb, which has a very warm flame attribute power. It is not as overbearing as the flame of the flame orb. It is a treasure for treating the internal injuries of fire attribute Pokémon. Uncle Yang said seriously. Then Lin Qing turned around and looked at the universal store. After searching, he found that there were all kinds of beads, not to mention the flame beads. Just when Uncle Yang was combing the hair of a caterpie, Lin Qing came over with a warm bead in his hand. Is it this, Uncle Yang? At that time, Uncle Yang's eyes widened and he said in disbelief, how did you get it? It's of top quality. You, hide it quickly. Don't let anyone see it. The house said that this thing is worth at least 3 million alliance coins. Then Lin Qing followed Uncle Yang into the breeding house. After watching him feed the flame bead to Charmander, the other party promised him that he would get an elite Charmeleon in 25 days. This time he won't run away. Lin Qing finally breathed a sigh of relief, and then he brought Sharona to the free trade market. He planned to buy an ordinary Pokémon today, because his shark was too amazing, and he would definitely be remembered by others if he released it. Holding Sharona's hand all the way, the rate of turning heads was naturally very high. Sharona, who was originally 170 centimeters tall, wore a pair of black Valentino high heels. Her long and beautiful legs were very dazzling. From a distance, it seemed that she was almost taller than Lin Qing. As soon as they entered the free trade market, the previous hawking sound rang again. Magikarp, Magikarp, Magikarp just caught. 5,000 alliance coins each. Little Rattata. The top quality Rattata just caught from the sewer in Qingliu City. Only 1.2 million alliance coins. Walking grass, the fattest and largest walking grass in Qingliu City. Don't miss it if you pass by. 1.5 million alliance coins each. Sharona looked at these elves with curiosity, and looked again and again, as if she was also looking for her favorite elves. The two walked and watched along the way. The extremely hot Sharona has become a beautiful scenery in the free trade market. A man holding a lightning ball had his neck tilted all the way. He walked without looking ahead and bumped into the marble in front of him. The angry lightning ball exploded directly on the spot. Then a 120 emergency alarm sounded. Ha, hoo-hoo. Sharona suddenly saw a little elf with a strange look, and then squatted down. This was also the first time she saw this kind of fermentation elf. Generally, it likes to hide tree fruits in its shell. After a period of fermentation, it will produce delicious tree fruit juice. It looks like a small turtle. Its entire shell is a red empty shell that can hold tree fruits. There are many holes on it that can directly lead to the inside of the body. The head and limbs extend from the holes. Many scientific research institutions that make energy blocks will raise a large number of hoo-hoo. Because the tree juice produced by hoo-hoo is an important material for making energy blocks. Just as the two were looking at the somewhat timid hoo-hoo, the unfamiliar old man looked up at Sharona. Her impressive figure and extremely short JK skirt outlined her beautiful legs, which was very dazzling. The old man's nose was hot on the spot, and blood spurted out directly. Today, the weather is too hot. I can't take it. Sharona didn't know what was going on, so she went closer and sniffed. How much is this pot, old man? The old man looked up again and suddenly saw Sharona coming over. His old face turned red and he turned his head away in fear. You. Don't come over. I want to live 2 more years. Let the kid next to you come and tell me. After Lin Qing walked over slowly, the old man stretched out 3 fingers and said, 3 million alliance coins. No cheating. Sharona was unhappy when she heard it. How could an auxiliary elf be so expensive? 3 million could buy a good mosquito coil tadpole. Husband, let's go, Sharona said as she was about to pull Lin Qing, but Lin Qing took out his card and transferred the money directly. Just then, the old man's cell phone rang. Ding. 3 million alliance coins have arrived. Sharona kicked Lin Qing, the prodigal, on the spot. Because of the skirt she was wearing, the old man who had just received the 300 yuan transfer rolled his eyes and had a nosebleed. It was obvious that he had suffered a lot of critical damage and had seen something that the old man shouldn't have seen and went into shock. No, no, no. I like this pot very much. I bought it. Don't be angry, wife. Lin Qing slowly walked up to the pot and said, then he started to check the other party's attributes. Hoo-hoo. Fermentation Pokémon. Attributes. Bug Rock. Features. Glutton. Qualification. Low-level amateur. Skills. Tightening, shrinking, rolling, insect resistance. Features. Glutton. Originally, it would eat the fruit on its body only when it was dying, but now it will eat its fruit directly when its health is less than half. Lin Qing looked at this level and smiled. He planned to use this Pokémon as the main Pokémon in the early stage. In the later stage, if it could not keep up with the strength of the Dragon team, it could also serve as an auxiliary Pokémon to produce tree juice for the team. This production skill can reduce a lot of costs. It will also share tree juice with the Pokémon with it from time to time. Sharona twisted her mouth. She was angry that Lin Qing spent money without telling her. Later, she thought that he would be honest after he spent all the money on his body. When he had no money, she would definitely have the final say at home. Little shark, little white cabbage, you seem to be dreaming. How can a cheater like him have no money? Later, Sharona did not buy the Pokémon she wanted. After she saw Lin Qing's round land shark, she wanted her own round land shark even more urgently. This time, she could only follow Lin Qing back helplessly. What's wrong, Nana? Are you unhappy? You didn't buy what you wanted. Let's go to the auction tomorrow to see if there is anything you like. Lin Qing asked with some concern. Sharona lowered her head and pouted, and said with some impatience, I want a round land shark. Lin Qing swallowed his saliva subconsciously. Is this wife going to start snatching his Pokémon? I don't want a little shark, I want one that belongs to me, but I know there is no one for sale on the market. It can only be encountered in the dangerous secrets outside the city. We definitely can't catch it now. If it doesn't work, I'll buy a Juliano tomorrow. I also want a melodica. The speaker is unintentional, but the listener is intentional. Lin Qing has made up his mind. His main task from now on is to help his wife get a round land shark. The two looked at the time and it was almost noon. They still had to go back to school in the afternoon. They both liked Teacher Ailu's outdoor course in the afternoon and learned a lot. After returning to the school gate and eating something together, they came to the school again. They looked at the time and saw that there were still 30 minutes before class. The two came to the school playground. Today, Sharona was dressed in an extremely outfit, and those male students didn't know how many times they had peeked at her. There are so many people there, let's go and see my wife. I haven't eaten ice cream today. Quote. So Lin Qing ran to the side and bought 2 ice creams, and then took Sharona to the crowded notice board. When the students around saw Lin Qing, some of them were sharp-eyed and hurriedly dodged, fearing that they would be stared at by this living devil. Let me see, the welcome, new, meeting, the winner can get 200,000 alliance coins as a scholarship, and can receive an entry-level ugly fish. Lin Qing read with a puzzled look. Then he asked Sharona next to him, what is this entry-level level? A qualification lower than the amateur level. Pokémons like Magikarp, Uzumaki, Caterpillar, and Unicorn that have almost no combat capabilities in the early stage are most likely entry-level, the Pokémons with the lowest qualifications. It takes a lot of effort to train them, Sharona said seriously. While listening to Sarona's answer, Lin Qing looked at Sharona, who was looking at the bulletin board seriously. He knew that Sharona must want Uzumaki. She had mentioned before that she wanted a melodica, and their academy's mascot is Uzumaki, which can be said to be much better than the ones on the market in Qingliu City. While they were talking, a little fat boy with glasses next to them was holding his little Magneto and said, "Humph. It's not so much a welcome meeting as a show of strength. They will send seniors to fight us. Class-based. The newcomers last year and the year before were all wiped out. There's no way they can beat those third-year freshmen." Lin Qing also became interested and asked with a playful look on his face, "Brother, what do the third years have to say?" The little fat boy looked at Lin Qing, then looked at Sharona behind him and felt shy. He thought he had never seen such a beautiful woman. I also heard that every third-year student has 3 elves. The worst is ordinary, all of them are elite, most of our first-year students are amateur, most of the second-year students are ordinary, and most of the third-year students are elite. I heard that some of the top students have professional elves. Just surrender if you meet them, you may get seriously injured. The little fat boy said nervously, then looked at Sharona next to him, blushed and ran away. Lin Qing also understood. He looked at the time again. The competition will start tomorrow afternoon. On the school playground, you can sign up with your class teacher today. Each class can select 5 people to participate in tomorrow's competition today. As the class bell rang, Lin Qing also took Sharona back to the classroom. As expected, the class teacher came in and talked to everyone in the class about the welcome meeting tomorrow afternoon. Each grade teacher is very interested in these school activities. Not only can you get teacher points if you rank well, you can even get rewards. Okay, which students in our class want to participate? We can have a battle this afternoon. Teacher Ailu and I will watch everyone compete on the playground and select 5 students to represent our first grade 6 class to participate in tomorrow's competition. As soon as the class teacher Karen finished speaking, the students in the classroom began to discuss. 10 minutes later, everyone who wanted to sign up filled out the form. There are 35 people in the class, and a total of 18 people have signed up. Teacher Karen was excited. Half of the people have signed up. This shows that the strength of these students should not be too bad. After seeing the big brother Lin Qing sign up, Zhonghu and the other 5 immediately signed up. They also threatened the students in the front row, whoever dared to sign up, they would meet at the small road after school. He took another photo of the registration form with his mobile phone and sent it to the 4 younger brothers. He made a gesture of wiping his neck, and anyone who dared to stand in front of their big brother would be greeted with the 3-piece suit of young and dangerous, intimidation, blackmail, and beating. This resulted in only 7 people out of the original 18 who signed up going to the playground. 6 of them were stopped by them, and a total of 11 people including the 5 of them did not go. Now Zhonghu is pressing 1 to threaten him. You, a rubbish business level bobo, dare to make up the number. Waste our class quota. I wonder which rubbish dares to grab the quota. Tiger. Brother Tiger. There is someone who doesn't accept it. He said his trumpet buds have practiced Tai Chi. Wang Chuang said with an indignant look on his face. The one who refused to obey released his trumpet bud, and Zhonghu and the other 5 released hornworms and green caterpillars to chew the leaves, which were rotten. It cost thousands of dollars to go back for treatment. Who else has practiced Tai Chi? For a while, no one dared to speak at the intersection. The head teacher Karen and Ailu came to the playground and looked at each other awkwardly. Ailu clearly remembered that Karen said there were 18 people, so why were there only 7? The class next to them had at least 15 people, and the 6th class of this grade was a bit shabby. When Lin Qing was thinking about how to use the pot to compete, he saw the 5 tigers coming from the opposite side. Zhonghu and his 4 younger brothers looked proud and made an okay gesture to Lin Qing. Lin Qing understood what was going on the spot. Amazing. Let's do this. Students from class 6, you only need to eliminate 2 of the 7 of you. For fairness, let's use the physical fitness test as the standard for measuring strength, and the last 2 will be eliminated. After hearing this, several people released their Pokémon directly, and Lin Qing also released Little Shark. Teacher Alu immediately found something wrong. This Pokémon seemed to be bigger. Ready, go. Little Shark landed on all 4s like a blue missile that had run away. Only Sharona's elite Eevee could barely catch up, and the people behind were left far behind. Then Lin Qing simply stopped and let Little Shark run by himself. He wanted to try this new addition, pot. Come out. Hoo-hoo. Teacher Ailu next to him looked puzzled. How could such a food-making Pokémon be released? How could it run like this? Hoo-hoo-hoo. Use rolling. Catch up with the Pokémons in front. If you do well, I'll reward you with 3 berries tonight. Lin Qing started to lure him. Hoo-hoo was delighted and started rolling immediately. Although its rolling was not very good because its shell was not very regular, it slowly caught up with the trumpet bud at the end of the team. After Xiaoxia finished running, Lin Qing took it back and began to teach the Hoo-hoo, reminding it when to adjust its direction. After everyone finished running, Lin Qing's Hoo-hoo, because it started late, only ran 6th. The somewhat disappointed Hoo-hoo also received a tree fruit reward. Later, Teacher Ailu selected the people who needed to attend the welcome meeting tomorrow. Captain, Sharona, followed by Mary, Gangtaro, Narcissus, and Lin Qing. Class teacher Karen looked at the confirmed candidates and came over. She didn't expect that there were only a few students in her class who were strong enough. And that second-generation master Lin Qing was a rich second-generation idiot who didn't know how to fight. Even if he had a quasi-god, he might not be able to win. It would be good if he didn't become the laughingstock of the class. Just when teacher Karen was sighing and complaining that she couldn't get the class teacher award this year, teacher Ailu clapped her hands and said seriously, "Then let me tell you the rules for tomorrow. There will be 30 classes tomorrow, 10 classes in each grade. The battle is based on classes, and the finals are individual competitions. If you win, you can get a scholarship of 200,000 yuan and a beautiful girl from our college. The tall ugly fish will probably evolve into menace after the cultivation. I hope that my classmates will go all out. I have become famous in school, because you know what they say." After running, he was going to find his wife, because Harona was a bit too short today. Zhonghu was also enlightened when he saw his elder brother Lin Qing going away. He pulled the 4 younger brothers over and started to talk. "Let's go to free trade tonight. Each of us will get another elf. Only by improving our strength can we do better for the elder brother. These bugs are too weak and don't match our temperament. When we have the strength, we can kidnap those strong and beautiful women for the elder brother. How much money can the elder brother give us?" Wang Chuang clapped his hands and said, "So ga. No wonder the elder brother didn't let us catch other women. I know that the elder brother has high standards. He doesn't like ordinary women. Do you want us to kidnap an internet celebrity tomorrow? You are dreaming. Internet celebrities are very rich, and those elves are bought at a high price. Can you kidnap one?" Little did they know that these people were about to get into trouble. The classmate who they threatened to beat up today, saying that he had practiced Tai Chi, really practiced Tai Chi. He is the grandson of the head of the Wudang sect in Qingliu City, named Zhang Yi. Now he is sitting in front of his senior brother with a look of despair. His skin and face are bruised and swollen, just beaten by Zhonghu and his friends. "I told you not to be lazy when practicing martial arts. You are so good. You were beaten by a few hooligans just a few days after school started. If the master knew, his beard would be so angry that he would fall off. It's really embarrassing. Senior brother, help me." Zhang Yi was annoyed. He originally wanted to participate in the welcome competition to show off in front of the girls in the school. He had been distracted since he saw Mary sitting behind him. He was also drawing Mary's portrait in class, but when he handed the portrait over, Mary replied with 2 words, "Seconds." He originally wanted to show off at the welcome meeting, but he was also beaten by Zhonghu. Now he wants revenge. Even Zhang Sanfang can't stop him. Zhang Yi's senior brother suddenly started to get angry. "I can't help you. I went to the nunnery next door yesterday to watch Nun Wang taking a bath and was pinned down by the master. How could I know that they were having an affair? I was punished to not leave the mountain for 30 days. I can help you. Who can help me? Lend me your elite Raichu." "Senior brother," Zhang Yi shouted unwillingly. He must beat those 5 fools to a pulp to relieve his hatred. "I won't lend it to you. Don't even think about it. Senior brother Zhang Yi only has this precious egg. Lend it to you? No way. Senior brother, I'll lend you my Pokémon Cloud Disc account for 30 days. There are Queen Gardevoir and Abramovic, and the Mother Monster versus Infernape. Wang." Just when Zhang Yi had just finished talking about lending his senior brother his study materials of more than 10 years, his senior brother had already taken out the Pokeball of Raichu, his eyes full of light. A light of yearning for a better life. "Network disc and the like, don't be polite. I'm bored after being in solitary confinement for a month. Brother, you come and buy me 10 boxes of napkins tomorrow. I've had diarrhea recently." The two smiled at each other, and the deal was done. Sometimes what is brotherhood? What is friendship? Loyalty. If you dare to show him your network disc, he might dare to call you daddy. Zhang Yi, who got the elite Raichu, returned to the school apartment that night and was looking for the fat guy Zhonghu on the playground, wanting to ask him for a free electrotherapy massage. The kind that doesn't cost money. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening before he knew it. Lin Qing had already asked someone to clean up their room. So much sand didn't sell for much money, and others had to pay for shipping and go up and down the stairs, so he just gave it away for free. "Oh, I'm so tired. Today was really a hard day." Sharona lay down on the bed directly, which made Lin Qing's brain lack oxygen. He desperately called Sharona to go home and change clothes outside, fearing that others would look at him twice and he would suffer. Now that he was back home, he didn't want her to change clothes. He took Eevee's Pokeball with a calm face and said, "I'll go release Eevee and train with Shark." "Well, you go, I'll lie down for a while, I'm so tired," Sharona said, drooping her hands on her forehead and closing her eyes. And Lin Qing, who went upstairs, put the round land shark, Eevee, and Hoo-Hoo together, and said threateningly, "No matter what sound you hear in the room tonight, you all pretend not to hear it. If anyone dares to come into the room to ruin my good things, hee." Lin Qing's threat full of deadly murderous intent made the three Pokémons tremble in their hearts and goosebumps all over. Then Lin Qing carefully returned to the room. After returning to the room, looking at Sharona who had fallen asleep, Lin Qing sighed and covered her with a quilt. Then he carefully and quietly closed the curtains and windows. He had originally thought of coming over to make out with his wife, but seeing Sharona so tired, he felt distressed and gently touched her forehead. The way she slept simply made Lin Qing dumbfounded. Her natural beauty made it difficult for him to save himself. Her pink cheeks were like peach blossoms, her flawless skin was like white porcelain, her long golden hair shone like golden silk threads, and there seemed to be indescribable emotions between her eyebrows. Lin Qing, who had recovered from his shock, pulled the quilt for her gently, fearing that she would catch a cold, and thought of going out to let her have a good rest. But just when he wanted to leave and get up, Sharona, who was thought to have fallen asleep, directly grabbed his hand, as if she had always known that he was by her side. She brushed the hair scattered on her face, and said softly with a shy face, "Don't go, stay with me." Lin Qing smiled slightly and hugged the woman in his arms. For some reason, it was drizzling outside at this moment, and the raindrops were hitting the windowsill of Lin Qing and his family in a messy manner. The breeze brought by the shower seemed to want to blow open the windowsill, as if wanting to see the fragrance of the spring garden. And the round land shark, who was watching TV with Eevee and Hoo-Hoo outside, immediately understood after hearing a hint of Sharona's shouting, and directly took the remote control to turn up the volume of the TV's wind to the maximum, as if to create a noisy environment for its owner. On TV, Naruto and Pain were fighting desperately, with various postures and moves emerging one after another, roaring and roaring while attacking, and at this moment, the door of Lin Qing's room suddenly opened slightly, and then was slammed shut by another person, and then locked directly, and there seemed to be a strange sound coming from inside, which made people think about it. Ibrahimovic didn't know what happened to his master Sharona in there. Maybe he wanted to come out and watch Shippuden, right? Forget it. The next morning, Lin Qing, who had changed her bicycle to a motorcycle and was promoted from a spare tire to a regular employee, saw Sharona preparing breakfast early in the morning because of her hard work last night. She started to learn to cook. She really looked like a good wife and mother. "Are you awake? Go brush your teeth and take a shower, eat something." Sharona looked at Lin Qing, who had just woken up, with a ruddy face. She was still thinking about what happened yesterday. She didn't want to give it to him, but her body didn't obey her. The certificate was obtained, the matter was done, the rice was cooked, and she started thinking about cooking when she got up. Lin Qing was also a little happy to hug her from behind. "Don't stick to me, hate, my legs are still a little sore, go take a shower," Sharona said in a panic while frying the poached eggs in the oil pan with a spatula. The round land shark started special training early in the morning, but the pot next to it seemed to be in a bad mood. The tree juice that it had finally catalyzed yesterday was eaten by the round land shark next to it when it was asleep, and now it is in a bad mood. After eating and drinking, Lin Qing also changed into a black suit and planned to go out to attend the welcome meeting to win back the beautiful fish for Sharona. Sharona also wore a pair of tight light-colored jeans. After seeing Lin Qing open the door, she ran over with a happy face and took his arm. The two of them went out in love. Today is Saturday, and many people came to the playground in advance in the morning to warm up with their own elves and look at other people's elves. For large-scale school activities like this, there will naturally be things like exchanging elves. Some people prefer grass type, while others like flying type. If the levels are similar, many students will be happy to exchange for their favorite elves. Lin Qing was naturally somewhat ashamed of doing so, and he also released Hoo-Hoo. Before the training began, 2 second-year students held their stomachs and laughed. "Ha ha ha, my brother. A Pokémon that produces juice. You're not going to use it for competition, are you? It's so funny. Low-level amateur. It's so funny, this Pokémon doesn't produce juice at home, but takes it out to show off wealth. Lin Qing ignored the two of them and let Hu get familiar with rolling. As long as the rolling is used properly, the opponent should be able to win even if it is an amateur Pokémon. When the two second-year students saw that Lin Qing ignored him, they were about to get angry on the spot and tell him what it means to respect seniors. Then they were attracted by Sharona next to them, and the two choked up. This junior sister. The best of the best. Then they saw that the girl happily hugged Lin Qing, who was training Hu. The two of them were annoyed on the spot and couldn't bear it. Jealous. Very jealous. Very jealous. Thinking about it, the two of them left. He came over and said indignantly, "Hey. Which class are you from? How dare you ignore the senior? How dare you date in school? Come with us to the training office." Lin Qing now ignored them and waved his hand. Zhonghu and the other 5 came over. The two of them were scared when they saw that they were the 5 tiger generals. These guys are notorious for not following martial ethics. Even if you can beat them with your Pokémon, they will sneak attack, hide at the intersection and snatch your Pokéball and beat you. You can't run away. The two of them ran away. There is no doubt that the man must be the living devil Lin Qing. The two of them were almost scared to death. How dare they mess with this rich second generation? But someone next to him didn't think so. Zhang Yi, who had been lying in ambush for a while, was looking at Zhonghu with a smug look on his face with his senior brother's Raichu Pokeball, wondering when to hit him. However, just as he was about to make a move, a woman who haunted him appeared in front of him. Mary was holding her elf Morubiko and walking towards Sharona and the others. "Sister Nana, why didn't you reply to my message last night? You didn't answer the phone either. I thought something was wrong," Mary said unhappily, and then subconsciously saw Sharona hugging Lin Qing tightly like a little lamb, and her eyes widened on the spot. You guys. Mary, who had a short circuit in her brain, could never have thought that they got the marriage certificate and did the business in one day yesterday. Lin Qing looked at Mary, who had a grudge with him, and directly took out a red book from his suit in the stunned eyes of everyone. Even the students next to him looked over, looking at the red book with the words, "Marriage Certificate," written on it with disbelief. You guys got the marriage certificate right now. Mary's mind was obviously a little sluggish after being hit by a double blow. Didn't she remember that a few days ago, Sharona told her that she didn't know whether Lin Qing loved her or not? Got the marriage certificate right now. What the hell? Just then, the radio sounded, and the preliminary rounds in the morning were about to begin. There were many venues. 3 grades started to play at the same time, with a total of 30 classes. If all 5 players of a class were eliminated, it would be considered a failure. The 15 winning classes participated in the promotion, semi-finals and even single finals in the afternoon. And Lin Qing's first grade class 6 faced the first grade class 5, and they played directly with the neighboring class. Please ask the players of both sides to come on the court to draw lots. Lin Qing looked at him and saw that he actually drew number 5, which meant that he was the last to play in this game. He also laughed contemptuously twice. It seems that he can win this afternoon without doing anything. Mary drew the first place. Her opponent was a grass-type walking grass. Morubi, who was already at the low-level elite level, killed the opponent in seconds. Then he killed an amateur-level Bobo in seconds. Another amateur-level Caterpillar. Another Magneto. The head teacher of the first grade class 5 next to him was stunned. The head teacher of Lin Qing's class was also stunned. Kaylin never dreamed that Mary, who usually didn't talk in their class, was actually an elite-level elf. Mary, who defeated 6 people in a row, instantly became the focus. Lin Qing also discovered this elf named Morabek. Its attributes are different when it is full and when it is hungry. The electrical attribute and the evil attribute alternate with each other, and the attack attribute is also different. It is easy to make the opponent run around. And Zhang Yi, who had just electrocuted Zhonghu and 5 people into the medical room, also ran over, holding a handheld sign and shouting like a ghost, "Mary, Mary, dear." No different from a fool. At noon, the head teacher Karen bought 5 bottles of water with excitement and came to see the contestants in their class, and also praised Mary. Mary was very good this morning. Everyone should learn from her and don't have the idea of fishing in troubled waters. The first game in the afternoon should be the second-year contestants. I hope Mary will work harder, Karen said while looking at Lin Qing, who kept teasing Sharona next to her and completely ignored her speech, which made her look annoyed. And Mary also looked at Lin Qing coldly and snorted coldly, as if protesting. Before the afternoon competition, some people suddenly came to the school, which surprised Lin Qing. He seemed to see his mother. Because there are third-year students in each welcome competition, some heads or clansmen of the 4 major families in Qingliu City, such as Lin, Yi, Huang, and Zhang, will come to look for some new students so as to extend an olive branch in advance. Lin Qing looked at the man next to his mother in surprise. From his appearance, it should be Lin Qing's father Lin Tiancheng, and there was a woman next to his father. This was his father's wife Yi Zimei, a woman with a vicious mind. This year, the Lin family was originally going to another school, but Yi Zimei interfered in the middle and insisted on dragging Lin Tiancheng to Lin Qing's school, saying that they hadn't seen him for a long time and missed Lin Qing. Naturally, Lin Tiancheng also wanted to see his son. So he changed his schedule and came to the Elf Academy. Huo Sha was like an ant on the hot pot. She was afraid that Amy Yip would harm her son. She was trying to please Lin Tiancheng, but her heart was in turmoil. After she sat down, she took out her cell phone and sent a message to Lin Qing below. Don't reply if you see the message, don't tell anyone about your marriage certificate. Don't lose too badly. The family is watching. As soon as Huo Sha finished sending the message, Amy Yip sat down next to her and said provocatively, "Oh, I heard that my sister's baby son was discharged from the hospital. I have always wanted to meet him. How come he has grown so big after not seeing him for so many days? He just doesn't look like the master, he looks like a gangster leader." Huo Sha also sneered. She knew that the other party had long suspected that Lin Qing was not the master's bloodline and had been investigating. As long as Lin Qing was expelled from the Lin family, her eldest son Lin Baiwei would naturally sit firmly on the position of the head of the Lin family, and even change Sharona's engagement to her eldest sons. Seeing the provocation from the other party, Huo Sha also smiled contemptuously. "Oh my, today's wind seems to be a bit strong. My sister is weak and can't speak clearly. I can't hear you clearly. I wonder if the master can hear you clearly." Lin Tiancheng was also speechless. The two wives have been fighting for more than 10 years, and they are also tit for tat outside. He coughed with some dissatisfaction and said, "Don't talk, you two should be careful. There are other family members here." Huo Sha tilted her mouth and looked at Yi Zimei, who was also indignant. Yi Zimei's coming today was not in vain. She had arranged people to investigate the people who Lin Qing had contacted recently, and find an opportunity to get some blood from this kid, and then do a paternity test with Lin Tiancheng. Lin Qing below was also confused when he saw the message his mother sent him, but he didn't think much about it. Little did he know that 2 people had already targeted him. Dear guests, welcome to the orientation meeting of the Elf Academy. The competition will begin soon. Now please invite all the contestants to enter. As the host's voice sounded, Lin Qing and the others followed him to the stage. After arriving at the competition venue, he also saw the 5 people on the opposite stage, second-year students, who must be difficult to deal with. This time, Kotaro was the first to go on stage. His Geodude only lasted 2 rounds before being defeated by the opponent's ordinary-level Squirtle. The second person to go on stage was Narcissus. With a mid-level business-level Mosquito, this girl actually fought back and forth with the opponent's Squirtle. However, in the last water gun spray, the Mosquito, which was at a disadvantage, obviously could no longer withstand the opponent's attack and flew out. The third one was Mary. After her Morubi defeated the opponent's Squirtle, she encountered a strong enemy, a high-level Elite 3-in-1 Magneto, and was about to break through again. Lin Qing in the audience was also slightly stunned. Now, Morabek could not take advantage of the electric or evil attributes, and the opponent also had the floating attribute. As expected, Morabek, who had been advancing all the way, underestimated the enemy again. The opponent used an electromagnetic cannon to directly send Morabek out of the field. Morabek's hair was burnt by electricity. It was an electrical type, so you can imagine how powerful the opponent's attack was. Sharona was the fourth to go on stage. When the opponent saw Sharona, he also began to taunt her. School sister, don't think about taking another step forward when you meet me. I, Wasp, will not be merciful. Sharona looked at the opponent's tough attitude and remembered that this man was a descendant of the Huang family, good at using electrical elves, and was also the best among the 4 major families. After Sharona took a breath silently, her eyes suddenly changed, and she said confidently, very good. Your strength may arouse my interest. Go, Evie. As Sharona's elf Ibrahimovic came on stage, the other party also became interested. Not bad. There is an elite elf in the 1st grade. Do you want to be my girlfriend? If you are my woman, I may let you win directly if I am in a good mood, but I can't say for sure about my teammates behind me, hee. The Wasp looked at Sharona with a smirk, but Sharona was not impatient and directly ordered, Ibrahimovic. Move at high speed. Run. The other party's eyes turned cold when he heard it, and then said, how dare you? We use electromagnetic waves to attack the electromagnetic monster. He tried to block Ibrahimovic's actions through electromagnetic waves and then give a fatal blow. Now, Ibrahimovic flashed. While the electromagnetic waves were still being released, Ibrahimovic's limbs suddenly accelerated, and golden light seemed to appear around his body, and he rushed straight towards the 3-in-1 magnetron. The other party also suddenly interrupted the electromagnetic waves, followed by a 100,000-volt strike, as if he had been prepared. But the next scene made Lin Qing in the audience exclaim in admiration. The reflexes of that Eevee were surprisingly developed. It changed its moves at the moment when the opponent changed its moves. It passed through the opponent's special move in an instant, hit the bull's eye, and knocked the opponent down. Magnemite lost its combat ability. Eevee wins. The Wasp took back his Magnemite indignantly, and then released his second Pokémon, a normal-level Thunderball, in an attempt to use self-destruction to take Eevee away, but it was also hit away by the opponent's Shadow Ball. Lin Tiancheng in the audience said with a look of satisfaction, not bad. Qinger's fiancée, Sharona, is quite capable. The eldest lady next to him, Yizime, pouted and said unhappily, oh, it's really good. I feel it's more suitable for our Budweiser. Our Budweiser is now a professional elf. Unlike someone who only knows how to squander the family. Oh, sorry, sister, I'm not talking about your family. Huo Sha looked indignant, and she didn't say anything. She was secretly happy in her heart. Sharona had already obtained a marriage certificate with her son, so you guys can talk nonsense. At that time, the resources of the Sharona family are destined to belong to her son. Just as they were still slandering each other, Sharona's second opponent came on stage. Soon Sharona won again, and this tall first-year schoolgirl also attracted the attention of the audience. My God, a first-year girl beat 2 second-year girls alone. So fierce. 2 second-year female students in the audience were talking there. Good luck, she can still defeat 6. Look at that Eevee, it's injured, it's probably not going to work. This class has come to an end. This year's top-notch Uchiha must be from the 3rd grade again. Oh, boring. Another girl was obviously jealous, because she saw Sharona's appearance and inexplicably wanted her to lose. Don't be so quick to draw conclusions, they still have a contestant who hasn't played yet. But when they looked at Lin Qing, who hadn't played yet and was feeding a low-level amateur Huhu with tree fruits, the two of them looked disgusted. Amy Yip on the stage also saw Lin Qing below. She seemed a little bit unbelieving of her eyes. That living devil was fiddling with a little elf that produced juice. Master, look, our second young master is going to be a bartender. He actually raised a juice-producing pot. He has brought shame to our Lin family. He must have sold the little Charmander that the master gave him to drink. Yizime said with a smirk on her face, and glanced at Huo Sha from time to time. Huo Sha was also a little confused. She really forgot about it. During the months when Lin Qing was hospitalized, his little Charmander was lost. This pot should be given to him by Sharona. When Mrs. Huo thought of this, she didn't want to talk anymore. She thought about how to get another 3 family for her son. Lin Tiancheng was also speechless. The other families were watching. If his son Lin Tiancheng made a fool of himself, wouldn't that be like rubbing him in the shit? Who has a powerful Pokémon? Send it to the second young master. Go, Lin Tiancheng said angrily, but just as he finished speaking, his prodigal son Lin Qing called Sharona down from the game. Dear, you've worked hard. Leave it to me. Let Ibrahimovic take a break. There will be a general fight later. Lin Qing shouted with concern. Sharona also slowly adjusted her mood and took Ibrahimovic back. At that time, the head teacher Karen was confused and said with a face of blame, "Why did you come down? Don't you want to fight again? If the players behind the opponent were a little worse, we could enter the finals." "Teacher, we didn't say we wouldn't enter the finals. Watch it." Lin Qing looked excited. He said excitedly, and then went on stage. When the referee saw that they had changed players, he immediately raised the flag and said, "Sharona from Class 6, Grade 1, gives up the game. Please welcome the next player, Lin Qing. Play against Shisan from Class 3, Grade 2. Lin Qing smiled contemptuously and released his hoo-hoo directly. Lin Tiancheng in the audience wanted to slap him now. What a punk, why are you so eager to embarrass yourself? He had already taken an elite level wind speed dog and wanted him to save face. What's the point of going on stage? Shisan on the opposite side released a mid-level ordinary level small Geodude on the stage. Judging from the skin color and strength, it was cultivated in a standard way, which was definitely enough to deal with the low-level amateur level hoo-hoo. Little Geodude, use Rockfall. The opponent seemed to feel that victory was in sight, and he attacked the opponent right away. Lin Qing was not impatient, and directly let the hoo-hoo shrink and start rolling. Giant Rock, Earthquake. As soon as the opponent saw hoo-hoo start to roll, he immediately released Earthquake. Hoo-hoo was directly shocked to stop, and then subconsciously shrank back again. The audience around was amused by this scene. You only know how to shrink. You are better than the water-spitting turtle Squirtle. Ha ha ha. Lin Qing's father Lin Tiancheng's beard was crooked with anger. He had seen the people from the opposite families pointing and talking about something. After seeing their mouth shapes, Lin Tiancheng knew that they were definitely not saying good things. Yizame next to him added fuel to the fire and said, like the eldest master Budweiser, he relied on a little Charmander to beat the opponent to a pulp. How come the second master became like this? It's really sad. As expected, after Lin Qing's hoo-hoo was hit 4 times by the opponent's falling rock attack, he fainted with foam in his mouth and eyes. It was obvious that he was hit hard. Seeing this, the referee raised the flag and shouted, "Hoo-hoo is incapable of fighting. Geodude wins. Please release the second Pokémon." Lin Qing sighed helplessly. He looked at Hoo-hoo who had fainted beside him and knew that if he wanted it to fight, he still had to train it. Then Lin Qing raised his mouth slightly, holding a dragon-type Pokeball and said, "Little shark, your juicer was beaten. You can do it yourself. Be gentle." Then a blue missile rushed out of the Pokeball directly. No one could see what happened. The Geodude had fainted and was rubbed on the ground by a blue Pokemon. The blue Pokemon was stepping on the opponent and cursing something like, "Shark. Sharkbee." Just like the leader of Causeway Bay, full of ruffian spirit. Geodude has lost the ability to fight. Please release the next Pokemon. When the referee shouted, the land shark on the field had already started to charge. He spat out Dragon's Fury directly into its palm, one in each hand, aiming at the position where Shisan wanted to release the elf, trying to block it. Shisan subconsciously looked at the elf, swallowed his saliva, and still threw his walking grass over. He was dead when the walking grass came out. To be more precise, he was knocked unconscious in midair. He was lying dead on the ground. The referee was stunned. The audience was stunned, and Lin Qing's father was stunned. Someone said, "Wow, elite quasi-god, NM Flash." Everyone realized what the elf that was still kicking the other person's walking grass was. The other party quickly took back the elf and ran away. Lin Qing was not too surprised to see this, and sat on the ground to smoke and play with his mobile phone. He was afraid that the round land shark, which had advanced to the low-level elite level, would kill the other party directly. So he was watching there. Since Xiaoxia won't kill him, he can use some music. At this time, 2 hot women suddenly appeared in the audience. They stood next to Sharona and held up a sign. They shouted loudly, "Lin Qing will win," and so on. It turned out to be the sisters Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan. Lin Qing's father Lin Tiancheng and Huo Sha on the stage changed their faces. "Okay, Huo Sha, when did you get the quasi-god without telling me? How much is it?" I didn't, sir. He did it himself." Yizame next to him said with disdain. "Maybe he took the company's money out, check it out later." Haha, check it out, please. But Lin Tiancheng was not too angry. As long as his son doesn't embarrass him, it's better than anything else. Please welcome the next contestant from Class 3, Grade 2. As the referee's order came out, another girl came up from the other side. Lin Qing didn't even bother to watch and continued to watch a certain audio. Watching a certain internet celebrity cosplaying Gardevoir. When Xiaoxia saw that there was another opponent coming, he used Dragon's Fury to condense the Rasengan in his two hands. Do you dare to release it? If you dare to release it, I dare to make it stop. As expected, the opponent still released it. I don't know who gave him the courage. He dared to release a normal level 1, and Xiaoxia killed it instantly. There was almost no Pokémon on the other side who could stay awake and stand on the ring. He was injured in midair before he landed. No one had ever seen this kind of fighting style. Some people started to curse directly. It's not the bear man who beat him. At least let him release it before fighting. Referee, this is not a foul. How much did you charge? The referee was also confused. The rules of the game have always been there. As long as the opponent releases the Pokémon, it means that he can attack. But what does it have to do with me, the referee, if you get injured before you land? The referee's seat was full, so he shouted, please invite the last contestant to the stage. Please invite the last contestant to the stage. He shouted 3 times in a row. No one paid any attention to him. Later, the teacher on the opposite side said, we surrender. The last student in their class was also a low-level elite elf, but he was frightened by the opponent's momentum. He surrendered directly. Lin Qing smiled contemptuously and took the little shark back and walked down. The Su Tianyan sisters were also very brave. They rushed up in front of Lin Qing's family. They rubbed Lin Qing's arm with excitement. Great, great, you are worthy of it. Sharona looked annoyed, and she didn't hug him yet. Lin Tiancheng on the stage didn't know when his beard, which had just been crooked, was straightened. Looking proud, looking at the families on the opposite side, they also sat up straight. Because of Xiaoxia, Lin Qing and his team successfully entered the finals. Just then, there was a commotion at the school gate. It seemed like something big was happening. Just when everyone was confused, the referee spoke again. Welcome to the Qingliu 3. Where are the applause, students? Suddenly, there was cheering, and applause in the venue. Even more enthusiastic than when the big families came in. The Qingliu 3, the 3 strongest independent trainers in Qingliu City, each has his own organization. Sometimes they will participate in the secret rescue work in the pursuit of criminals of the Alliance. It can be said that they are the soul of Qingliu City. The 3 heroes are Guimei, who is good at using ghost-type Pokémon, Huawu, who is good at using dragon-type Pokémon, and Li Tianji, who is good at using electric-type Pokémon. All 3 are masters and have strong strength. They came here today because they heard that the Golden 3 generations of the Pokémon Academy would participate in the competition. All 3 of them wanted to pull the 3 elite third-year students into their own organizations. Just after the 3 of them arrived, the 4 major families also stood up and expressed their respect. Because these people basically have a say in the alliance. Making enemies is definitely asking for trouble. But they must fight for people. In their eyes, the talents of the younger generation are comparable to young beasts. Everyone wants to expand their team. Looking at the 3 heroes who have already taken the seats, the host also spoke. Okay, dear students, the competition continues. Now, please ask the players who are still capable of fighting to come on stage. Draw lots to start the showdown. Lin Qing's class is the only one in the first grade to advance. The head teacher Karen has been surrounded by several teachers, cheering for her. And she had to agree awkwardly. Mary gave up because her Morabek had not responded yet, and only Sharona and Lin Qing joined the battle. Almost half of the people in the other classes went down. Many elves were injured in the battle just now. A total of 32 players, 4 venues at the same time. Lin Qing told Sharona not to force it if she couldn't win. Eevee will evolve soon, don't leave a root of disease. The game officially started. Lin Qing looked at the person walking up from the opposite side with a calm face, and suddenly felt a familiar feeling. The person on the opposite side was also confused. Because the person on the opposite side was Cheng Jie, who had robbed Lin Qing before with a headgear and black stockings. Lin Qing smiled crookedly. This is really true that enemies will always meet. The opponent was obviously scared. Can't win. This man's round land shark and he himself were beaten by the bear. Can't win. At this moment, these 4 words were in Chang Ji's mind. Just when the referee was about to shout start, Chang Ji surrendered directly. Everyone was stunned. Was he bribed? And the school's online live broadcast room was cursing. Shady. Surrender now. Are you two upstairs? That's a quasi-god. Can you beat him? Shady. Don't even fight. Isn't this a shady deal? The casino has started. Hurry up and place your bets. I bet on the 3rd generation of Gold Mysica to win. The internet has already started to make bets, and Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan also seized the opportunity. The 2 of them directly bet on Lin Qing to win. Just when Lin Qing went down to the competition venue and watched his wife Sharona fight, he was somewhat surprised to find that Sharona had actually entered a tough battle. The opponent was a high-level elite Electabuzz. The trainer was the 3rd-year Golden 3rd-generation Li Tiancheng, an expert in using electric-type Pokémon. He was also the younger brother of the 3 heroes Li Tianji. Lin Qing looked at the 2 Pokémons in confrontation, and he found that the Electabuzz was actually covered with a layer of electromagnetic waves. It was obviously a defense to resist Eevee's close-range attack. Eevee, Shadow Clone, Shadow Ball. Sharona calmed down and began to think of a way. Eevee began to move quickly, and more than a dozen Eevee's shadow clones appeared around Eevee. The opponent patrolled back and forth to find Eevee's true body. Electabuzz, let's use 100,000 volts. That is, at the same time as he released 100,000 volts, Eevee's shadow ball began to condense. Eevee, who had been prepared, had already arrived behind Eevee in advance, and a shadow ball hit directly. After receiving another shadow ball, the Electabuzz passed out. Everyone was attracted by this 1st-year woman who defeated a 3rd-year elite player. She was calm and steady in the face of a strong enemy, and she was strong, so she gained a lot of fans in the live broadcast room in a short time. The people of the Qingliu 3 heroes saw this 1st-year student. They were not too surprised when they found out that the girl was from the hero family. The hero family is a well-known archaeological family in their country, and is also very famous in the academic circles of the Alliance. In recent years, they have been cooperating with the Lin family in Qingliu City, and it seems that they have married their daughter to the 2nd young master of the Lin family. The Lin family is a peerless wealthy family in Qingliu City, worth hundreds of billions of Alliance coins. Their daughter-in-law has a well-cultivated Eevee, which must have been supported by the Lin family. An afternoon passed quickly. At the last stage, there were only 4 people left, one named Huang Wudi and the other named Yi Zhanshan. Huang Wudi and Yi Zhanshan are both from the 3rd generation of Gold. Yi Zhanshan is the strongest one. He has a low-level professional Bulbasaur and is very powerful. His target is naturally the ugly fish that can evolve into melodic. Lin Qing met him right away, and everyone knew that the fun was about to begin. A man who kept advancing by cheating, sneaking and bribing his opponents was a bear beating. Meeting the strongest elite player in the academy, the result is naturally needless to ask. And Lin Qing's odds on the internet are already 100 to 1. Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan were also very entangled when looking at the 1 million Alliance coins they had just won. If they bet on Lin Qing and lose, I'm afraid they will lose the stockings they paid for. Sister, bet on Ah Qing. If you lose, go find him and cry. Make him pay back. Okay. Lin Qing was also excited when he looked at Yi Zhanshan on the opposite side of the ring match. He was professional level. This is the strongest opponent he has met so far. Go, little shark. Lin Qing released the round land shark with excitement, while the opponent released a mid-level elite level mouth smooth flower. Just when the little shark wanted to attack the mouth smooth flower that had not yet landed, the opponent was obviously prepared, and whipped the vine whip directly to the ground and changed its position. Don't think that such despicable means can work on me. To deal with you, I don't need to send out the main force at all, Yi Zhanshan said with disdain. His eyes were full of contempt for Lin Qing. Lin Qing laughed instead of being angry. The more the opponent looked down on him, the more advantageous it was. Ko Dai Hua, use the flying leaf blade. Let it see the gap. With a roar from Yi Zhanshan, the mouth smooth flower jumped up directly. Then he swung his body violently, and a series of green round moon flying leaf blades flew towards the little shark. Lin Qing looked at the little shark with a calm face. This level of attack, even if the little shark was wearing weight-bearing equipment, it could dodge it. In an instant, the little shark disappeared from the spot. He ran towards the mouth-smoking flower at a very fast speed. Yi Jianchen, who knew that the round land shark's Rasengan was powerful, did not dare to be careless. He shouted, "Use sleeping powder." But it was too late. Lin Qing also felt something was wrong. Very wrong. This quicksand hell, why is it so strange? I seem to have seen it somewhere. The pebbles on the entire competition arena and the surrounding grass began to tremble and were sucked in one direction. Even Lin Qing felt that his clothes were sucked over by something and floated lightly. Why is it so familiar? That sand ball that keeps condensing. Lin Qing thought suddenly, could it be that move? How many floors can a bag of rice resist? Thinking of this, Lin Qing also panicked. He had to kill the opposite elf directly. This is a feud, a life and death feud. Wow, earth-shattering star. Lin Qing's expression was distorted. He was seen shouting in panic. Stop, stop, stop. Stop, little shark, stop. The referee was also confused, and everyone present was confused. Little shark was also a little confused and unlocked its skills. It may not know the power of this move. The small earth-shattering star is estimated that even the low-level professional level can't stop it. If it doesn't die, it will be half-disabled. Yi Jianchen was still a little confused. Why is the opponent so obvious? His mouth-stupid flower should be able to hold on for a while, and then break free from the quicksand hell. But when he saw the mouth-stupid flower emerging from the sand ball, his eyes were directly bloodshot. The mouth-stupid flower was covered with blood bubbles caused by sand and stones. Now it has been seriously injured. If the opponent doesn't stop, his mouth-stupid flower will definitely die on the spot. Thinking of this, Yi Jianchen reluctantly took back the Kudama. Then he took out his natal spirit, the low-level professional Bulbasaur. He had been training in this school for 3 years. He was an elite after all. How could he be beaten like this by a freshman? He felt that the other party was insulting him by stopping. But no matter how reluctant he was, he slowly adjusted his thoughts. Yi Jianchen clasped his fist and began to introduce himself. I take back what I said before. I am Yi Jianchen from the Yi family. May I ask your name? Seeing that the other party became polite, Lin Qing also clasped his fists awkwardly and said, I am Lin Qing from the Lin family. Quote. Quote. Yi Jianchen was stunned when he heard this. Wasn't Lin Qing from the Lin family locked up in a mental hospital 3 months ago? No, he knew all the young generations of the 4 major families. Isn't this Lin Qing a useless second-generation ancestor? He only has a little fire dragon, and he abuses it. He can be called the most useless young generation of the 4 major families. How could it be? How could it be possible? The 4 major families and the 3 heroes of Qingliu in the audience were also confused. It was like Lin Tiancheng, he knew his son too well. He has been a disaster star in the family since he was a child. When he was 5 years old, Lin Qing took a few angry lightning balls and threw them into the toilet. He used lightning balls to self-destruct and blow up shit for fun. He also went to someone else's farm to pull the milk of the big milk cans of other people's cows. Those big milk cans were scared and weaned directly and stopped producing. In recent years, he has grown up and developed well, and he has begun to extend his claws to young girls. He didn't know how many hundreds of them were killed by Lin Qing in the past few years. He was afraid that some girls would come to him with their children and ask them to call him grandpa when he went out one day. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Did he not go to the mental hospital in the past 3 months, but went to some special training? Not only Lin Tiancheng couldn't figure it out, but Lin Qing's mother Huosha couldn't figure it out either. She knew her son best. If she hadn't protected him, he would have been hacked to death long ago. How could he torture the genius of the Yi family so obediently? Just when everyone was puzzled, Lin Qing on the ring had already confronted Yi Jianchen. Brother Lin Qing, don't hold back with your round land shark. I know we can't win, but you have to let us know the gap between us, otherwise I'm afraid I won't be able to sleep. Yi Jianchen said sincerely. If the other party showed mercy and he lost, he would feel even worse. Maybe this is the dignity of a man. Lin Qing smiled slightly and signaled Xiaoxia to attack. Xiaoxia raised his hand directly and wanted to release the terrifying ground-shattering star version of the quicksand hell. But the opponent was obviously prepared. Yi Zhanchen shouted loudly, "Bulbasaur! Use the vine whip to dance around. Break them up." The sand balls and stones condensed by the round land shark were knocked down by the Bulbasaur. The opponent's speed was not much slower than Xiaoxia, and the quicksand hell obviously could not be gathered. Bulbasaur uses the seed machine gun. Yi Zhanchen looked at the dazed round land shark and thought that the opportunity had come. He seemed to think he could win. But the moment the seed machine gun was fired, Yi Zhanchen was surprised again. The audience in the audience also stood up and looked at the scene on the ring with their eyes wide open. Vanima, what is this? Weather skill, sandstorm. Is this thing a cheat? How can an initial type comprehend sandstorm? The question is, what kind of sandstorm is this? How can there be a sandstorm roll? Wow. Lin Qing was also confused. He didn't know what TV this round land shark had watched these days. From Rasengan to Chibaku Tensai, here comes a sandstorm roll. Who is the protagonist? Lin Qing said with disdain. Cheat. Lin Qing didn't think he could release the sandstorm roll. He would try it when he got back and let Xiaoxia teach him. Sandstorm skills make the opponent fall into a passive state directly, and continue to suffer damage. Xiaoxia is different. He has dual characteristics, one of which is sand hidden, ignoring sandstorm weather. Instead, he can come and go more freely in the sandstorm. Bulbasaur in the sandstorm looked around in a panic, trying to find the opponent. But it could hardly open its eyes, and the level advantage could not be brought into play under such a powerful skill suppression. And just when it was a little dazed, something seemed to come over. Then Bulbasaur was knocked out. It was about to go out of bounds and the victory was decided. But the round land shark in the sandstorm made up 2 more Rasengans and threw them over. Bulbasaur, who was still trying to stretch out the vine whip to save himself in the sky, was directly blown away. Bulbasaur is out of bounds. The winner is round land shark. Now no one said that Lin Qing paid money to buy off the opponent. How many elves in this school can release weather skills? At that time, Lin Tiancheng's brain short-circuited. When did this little son become so awesome? Who is better between him and his elder brother Lin Baiwei? It should be his elder brother. But his elder brother is 5 years older than him. What level will this fool be in 5 years? What else did Huoxia hide from me? At this time, several people came over, including Long Jia and Huo Wu, 2 of the 3 heroes of Qingliu. She excitedly praising. Master Lin's family is really full of tiger roars and dragon roars, and heroes are born in large numbers. Lin Tiancheng also responded politely when he saw this. I wonder if this young master Lin Qing wants to join our Qingliu Longji team. I see that he also uses a dragon-type Pokémon. Hehe, we won't treat him unfairly. Ah, let him decide for himself, I can't be his master. Just as they were discussing, the competition in another competition arena was also over. Sharona defeated Huang Wudi, who used the high-level elite Butterfree. Victory. However, Sharona's Eevee was obviously a little weak. He had just injured his leg and had difficulty standing. The last round, Lin Qing vs Sharona. Just when everyone thought that the 2 were going to fight to the death, Lin Qing raised his hands and surrendered directly. Surrender, surrender. I won't fight anymore. My round land shark needs to take medicine. Ah, the referee was confused again. This idiot, playing. Wow, amazing. I just ordered takeout to watch the finals. The school was also confused. Surrendering directly in the last round of the finals is something that has never happened in the past years. Who would believe that it is not a shady deal? Huo Sha on the stage laughed directly. Ha ha ha, this kid is really becoming more and more like the master, knowing how to love his wife. In public, how could he bear to beat his wife? This flattery really hit Lin Tiancheng's horse's butt, praising his son and him. He was happy at the time. The eldest lady Yi Zimei next to him was so angry that she sent a text message to her subordinates, saying that she must get Lin Qing's blood or DNA tonight. She wanted to expose their true colors. Without the master's money, they are nothing but common people. A waste. The game is over, and Sharona got the ugly fish and 200,000 alliance coins. She was naturally very happy. There were two other happy people, the sisters Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan, who invested all their assets to buy Lin Qing to win. Now they have earned millions of alliance coins. But what they don't know is that Lin Qing has been targeted by two people. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.